I transmigrated to another world, and I actually raised this generation's villain the wrong way. I am transmigrated number 001, Lu Miao. The system is beginning to load this mission's information. This mission is to prevent the book's male lead, Qi Xian, from turning evil. The mission is to let him grow up with love and warmth. In this world, I am the daughter who was kicked out of the wealthy Lu family. I have nothing except for a small apartment. I already understand the system's plot. The system begins to send me to the target world. At this moment, Qi Xian is being beaten by a group of boys. While beating him, they shout that Qi Xian is a jinx. A boy was seen shoving Qi Xian to the ground with one push. Another boy viciously grabbed his collar, questioning why a jinx like him had bread to eat. With a determined gaze, Qi Xian replied with a frown that he found it. At this moment, the bruised and battered Qi Xian angrily pushed one of the boys away. The boy gritted his teeth and said, "How dare you touch me with your filthy hands?" So he grabbed Qi Xian's hair and slammed him hard onto the ground. Having just transmigrated and seeing the scene of Qi Xian being beaten, I immediately shouted for them to stop. Seeing someone approach, the boys took to their heels and ran. One boy even turned his head to warn Qi Xian. Qi Xian looked up at me and asked who I was. I brushed aside my beautiful long hair, crouched down, and asked, "Are you Qi Xian?" Qi Xian's eyes widened in surprise. He nervously asked how I knew his name. I looked at the fragile Qi Xian before me and fell in a deep thought. Is this the villain? This appearance is hard to associate with destroying the world. I sighed, deciding to forget it, and approached him. Then I knelt on one knee and said, "Let's get you up first. I won't hurt you." I spoke to Qi Xian in the gentlest manner possible, but in Qi Xian's eyes, I was like a demon. I asked him to come with me, which scared Qi Xian so much he started to stutter. He kept stammering it while backing away, not letting me touch him. I awkwardly comforted Qi Xian. "Don't be afraid. I won't hurt you." Qi Xian shook his head repeatedly, no. But he was already starving. Having just been beaten, he was already exhausted and fainted directly. Seeing the scene before me, I was surprised again. Is he really Qi Xian, the one who destroys the world? He looks so cute right now, but I didn't have time to think too much. I quickly picked up Qi Xian and headed home. The wind rustled outside the window. The curtains inside fluttered in the breeze. The next day, Qi Xian opened his eyes and woke up. He looked at the unfamiliar surroundings, full of doubt. Where is this? Qi Xian moved his body and discovered that his wounds had been bandaged. He turned his head to look at the bedside table on the right. There was a photo frame on it. Qi Xian picked up the photo frame, holding it with both hands to look closely. The girl in the photo looked 15 or 16 years old. It was her. Suddenly, the sound of a door opening was heard. I pushed the door open and came in. Clearing my throat, I asked Qi Xian if it still hurt. But upon a closer look, I was a bit stunned. I saw Qi Xian wrapped up in the blanket, looking at me with a wary expression. Seeing Qi Xian's nervous appearance, I gently walked forward and sat on the edge of the bed. Qi Xian immediately retreated to the corner of the wall. He didn't just look nervous, but also extremely wary. I understood in my heart. In the original story, Qi Xian was abandoned as a child and was often brutally bullied. His heart had long been twisted. Although he was found by his biological parents when he was 16, they only treated him like a tool. That's why Qi Xian went down a dark path, causing the entire world to collapse. My gaze was firm, and my resolve was strengthened. I will definitely stop Qi Xian from turning evil. I will take good care of him as he grows up. Qi Xian, wrapped in a blanket, looked at me and also fell into deep thought. Why does she have that kind of look in her eyes? I stood up and looked at Qi Xian. Since you're awake, let's go out and eat. Nothing is more important than eating. Qi Xian hesitated for a moment, but still took off the blanket and came to the dining table with a grunt. Qi Xian's eyes lit up and he started drooling. He stammered, "So much food." Looking at Qi Xian, I gently told him to eat without worry. Qi Xian picked up a sandwich from the table and started eating it in big bites. While eating, he said, "This is the most delicious thing on earth." Qi Xian devoured the food like a storm, inhaling it into his mouth. I watched him gently. This is what a child should be like. He drank the milk in a glass in one gulp, then gently put the glass down. All 3 plates of food were finished by Qi Xian. It seems he was really starving. However, at this moment, I was surprised to find Qi Xian's fervent gaze fixed on the burger on my plate. I passed my plate to Qi Xian. "You can have my portion too." Qi Xian quickly shook his head and waved his hands to refuse, claiming he was full. But Qi Xian's stomach growled a few times, betraying him. His embarrassed face immediately turned bright red. I couldn't help but burst out laughing. He's so cute. But Chi Xian felt very embarrassed. I told Chi Xian to eat without worry. After saying that, I got up and went to the kitchen to prepare more food. Chi Xian watched my retreating figure, his gaze unfocused and thoughtful. Why is she so good to me? Chi Xian couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he thought. Looking at the burger on the plate in front of him, he fell into deep thought again, recalling the past. In the dead of winter, even the steam bun he ate was one that others had thrown away. He had picked up the bun from the ground and went to thank them, full of joy. But he was scorned for being dirty. They felt he was bad luck and didn't let him get close, as if afraid he would infect them with his filth. Am I really that unbearable? Chi Xian lowered his head, his eyes unfocused. He racked his brains for a long time, but still couldn't understand why I was so good to him. Maybe she just find me novel for a moment, like finding a stray dog and thinking it's fun. Chi Xian thought darkly to himself. I stood at the kitchen doorway and called out, "Xian Xian." But Chi Xian was just sitting there in a daze. After we finish eating, let's go try on some new clothes. Chi Xian suddenly reacted, clothes. At this moment, the little birds on the branches outside the window were chirping and singing. After breakfast, Chi Xian stood in front of the mirror, very happy. I held up the clothes, sizing them up. This one is really nice. I went out to buy it while you were asleep. Go try it on. Chi Xian suddenly reacted. Am I happy? Of course not. It's just like buying new clothes for a pet. This is very normal. Chi Xian shook his head like a rattle drum. I took a comb and started styling his hair. Chi Xian felt incredibly comfortable. Then he suddenly thought, I'm not comfortable at all. She must be combing my hair because she thinks I'm dirty. As he thought about it, Chi Xian started huffing and puffing in anger. I saw that his face was dirty and started to wipe it for him. Look, you got oil on your face when you were eating. You've become a little messy cat. Let me wipe it for you. Chi Xian admitted defeat in his heart. In a short while, Chi Xian had changed his clothes. This outfit suits you very well. I praised him directly. I gently patted Chi Xian's head. My Xian Xian is so handsome. Bubbles were already popping up in Chi Xian's heart. His mind was repeating that phrase, my Xian Xian. Haha. Chi Xian directly disarmed and surrendered, raising a white flag. Looking at how Chi Xian was now, I stared for a moment. Chi Xian became all shy and fidgety and said to me, "You're very pretty too." I looked at this Xian Xian and thought he was just too cute. I crouched down, gently booped Chi Xian's nose, and told him, I'm Lu Miao. From now on, call me Jiejie. If you have any problems, you can come to me anytime. Chi Xian looked at me seriously, as if trying to find the answer on my face. Why is she so good to me? It must be because she thinks it's fun. I didn't know about the twists and turns in Chi Xian's heart. Instead, I smiled and told him, you're alone, and I'm alone too. From now on, we can live together. That way, we won't feel lonely. Chi Xian's eyes widened in shock. He was no longer alone, no longer lonely. He had a sister. I told Chi Xian with a smile, from now on, you can act spoiled with me like other kids do. Seeing Chi Xian's face turn red, I held his hand and seriously promised him that I would never abandon him. Chi Xian looked at my sincere and firm gaze, which was the same as before. After hesitating for a moment, Chi Xian tightly gripped my hand and promised me with a determined gaze that he would never abandon me, his sister. Hearing Chi Xian's promise, I smiled happily. Then I stood up, patted his head, and urged him to go sleep a while longer for his body's sake. I watched his cheerful figure. I made a resolution. Chi Xian, Jiejie will definitely keep her promise. I will definitely protect you and never let anyone bully you. Suddenly, a ding from my phone signaled a message notification. Looking at my account balance on my phone, I only had 630 yuan. I instantly felt like a deflated ball. I have to go earn money. Only then can I provide things for Chi Xian. Looking at the job postings on my phone, I pondered what kind of job earns money quickly and is suitable for someone like the original host who didn't even graduate from university. Suddenly, I saw a post for a film crew recruiting a female stunt double. 10,000 for one scene. I held my phone and thought for a moment. Isn't it just a stunt double? I need to think carefully about how to raise my little brother well. Outside the window, a gentle breeze was blowing. Little birds were flying freely in the sky. Early in the morning, Chi Xian was still asleep. In his sleep, Chi Xian murmured. It was unclear what he was saying. The moment he opened his sleepy eyes, Chi Xian shouted, Jiejie. I left a note for Chi Xian, saying I was going out for a bit and that he should eat something himself after he wakes up. Afterwards, I arrived at the film crew's recruitment site. The recruitment center was a temporarily set up tent. The site was crowded with people. As far as the eye could see, it was all heads. Two people next to me were discussing. She's so pretty. Is she here for the audition too? At this point, a female staff member tapped my shoulder and asked if I was here to look for someone. I took a step back to create some distance and coolly told her I was here to apply for the stunt double position. The staff member was clearly unconvinced, but still told me the recruitment location for the stunt double. The staff member sighed that it was a pity for someone as pretty as me to be a stunt double. Inside the room, Director Zhang was getting angry about not being able to find a suitable stunt double and losing his temper with the staff. At this moment, I arrived at the door. I knocked and politely asked, "Is this where you're recruiting for a stunt double?" The director clearly didn't believe such a pretty girl was here to be a stunt double. So he stood up and scolded, "This is not a place to fool around." A staff member at the side added, "A stunt double needs to have a martial arts background." With a firm gaze, I questioned the director, "Are you judging a book by its cover?" So I walked to the side. The director was puzzled about what I was going to do. I went to the props and casually picked up a sword. I held the sword in my left hand and pushed out with my right palm, then immediately began to dance with it. The director and the staff were stunned and speechless. The sword seemed to come alive in my hands. It began to move along with my forms. My steps were light, and my every move was as smooth as flowing water. This performance of mine left the director and staff dumbfounded. After finishing the demonstration, I came before the director again. I looked at the director and the staff and asked, "Can I be the stunt double?" The director was practically worshiping me, more than capable. The director quickly took out an application form and even planned to cooperate with me long term. This way, I could come report for work tomorrow. I was awkwardly speechless. Are all directors these days so flexible? On the other side, the awakened Chi Xian looked at the note on the table. He felt as if he had been struck by lightning, feeling that he had been abandoned again. The note in his hand unconsciously fluttered to the ground. Chi Xian felt like a deflated ball, leaning weakly against the wall. Chi Xian didn't believe I would come back. Why give him hope only to let him be disappointed again? Unconsciously, tears streamed down like a broken string of pearls. I went out to find a job. When Chi Xian woke up and didn't see anyone, he felt abandoned by the whole world. I had just returned when I saw a tearful Chi Xian. The moment Chi Xian saw I was back, he ran over and hugged me tightly. Chi Xian cried and told me he thought I didn't want him anymore. Looking at Chi Xian before me, my heart ached. Although I had left a note for him, he was still worried I would abandon him. I didn't expect that just a short departure would make him so insecure. I patted Chi Xian's shoulder reassuringly, "Don't worry, Jijia won't abandon you." And I comforted him that I would never leave him. Only then did Chi Xian feel relieved. I gently pinched Chi Xian's little cheek and told him I just want to find a job. I then told Chi Xian that when I go to work in the future, he would have to be home alone, but I'll be back soon. Chi Xian agreed readily. The next day, Chi Xian was completely different. His pitiful, aggrieved expression was heart-wrenching to see. I sighed in resignation and had no choice but to take him to work with me. Chi Xian being able to go to work with me made his heart bloom with joy. Soon, the two of them arrived at the makeup room on set. A staff member enthusiastically called me over to get my styling done. I told Xian to wait for me here obediently. A staff member saw me with a boy and suggested that there happened to be a role for a page boy and that Chi Xian could try it. I politely thanked them and declined. Chi Xian thought there should be payment for acting, right? He also wanted to do his part to help me, so he told me he wanted to give it a try. I just thought he was acting on a whim and told him that filming wasn't that simple. I told him to wait for me here obediently. But Chi Xian's gaze was very determined. He told me he wanted to live with me in the future. He didn't want me to work so hard alone. At this moment, my motherly heart was overflowing. The staff member thought Xian was too sensible and came forward to persuade me. It's rare for the little brother to be interested. Why not let him try this role? It's just following behind the female lead. The role is just a background character, not important. While I was pondering whether to agree, Chi Xian directly told the staff member that he could do it. He wanted to give it a try. I had no choice but to let him do it. However, I still reminded him to be careful. Chi Xian was very happy that he could work with me and do his part. Just as the two of us were about to go change our clothes, we heard the staff chattering that Liu Yunxi and Xie Cheng are here. Not far away, Liu Yunxi was walking this way, holding Xie Cheng's arm. Just as I was wondering who Liu Yunxi was, The system gave me the answer. Host, a key character has appeared. Original host, plot unlocked. All the memories flooded into my mind in an instant. It was this Lu Yunxi who caused the original host to be kicked out and become homeless. It turns out that Lu Yunxi was an adopted child. On the outside, she's a white lotus, but in reality, she's a total green tea. She deliberately tried to curry favor with the original Lu Miao, gain her trust, and make the original host parents hate her. She did many wicked things and framed the original Lu Miao for them. This led to the original host being kicked out. Just as I was lost in thought, Qi Xian called out, "Jiejie," pulling me back from my thoughts. Looking at Lu Yunxi behind me, I thought that since Qi Xian was here, it would be better to stay away from her for now. However, things didn't go as planned. That Lu Yunxi actually came up to greet me herself, asking why I was here. I coldly told her I was here to be a stunt double. The people around started whispering. The eldest daughter of the Lu family is actually here to be a stunt double? Since when did the Lu family have 2 daughters? This is so annoying. It's such a hassle to be recognized. Lu Yunxi grabbed my hand. Her White Lotus acting went online. She asked me why I was working as a stunt double. Did you run out of money? I can transfer some to you. I shook off Lu Yunxi's hand and coldly told her to just mind her own business. Lu Yunxi was being incredibly pretentious, sniffling that I was still angry with her. Mom and Dad were just too angry. After a while, when they've calmed down, I'll help you plead with them. I felt like I'd been struck by lightning. The people around started chattering even more. The great eldest daughter of the Lu family was actually kicked out, and Lu Yunxi is so nice. Qi Xian and I were both speechless. This acting is on another level. I silently chanted in my heart, "Hold it in." Hitting people is against the law. Just then, Qi Xian tugged on me. I turned my head and asked, Xian, what's wrong?" Qi Xian quickly stretched out his hand and pointed at Lu Yunxi. I was completely confused. Qi Xian said loudly, "Lu Yunxi is so ugly." The entire place fell silent instantly. Lu Yunxi was petrified on the spot. The word ugly echoed throughout the venue. Lu Yunxi couldn't maintain her composure. She threw herself into Xie Cheng's arms and started crying pitifully, seeing the person he liked being wronged. How could he stand for that? Xie Cheng directly scolded me. "If you don't like CC, you can just say so. Why teach a child to be bad?" I retorted directly, "Children say what they see." It's just the innocence of a child's words. After saying that, I turned and left. This really infuriated Lu Yunxi and Xie Cheng. Xie Cheng quickly comforted Lu Yunxi, telling her not to pay any attention to me, saying I was mud that couldn't be plastered on a wall. Lu Yunxi pretended to be magnanimous, telling Xie Cheng not to say that about me. Lu Yunxi secretly wondered to herself, is it an illusion? I feel like she's different from before. And who is that little boy? Qi Xian and I arrived at the changing room. I was very curious why Qi Xian had said Lu Yunxi was ugly just now. Qi Xian remembered the people who used to bully him. Lu Yunxi was just like them. Qi Xian believed that anyone who bullied his sister was a bad person. My heart warmed, so he was worried about me. But I still reminded Qi Xian not to comment on other people's appearances outside in the future. Qi Xian has never been taught by anyone. I'm afraid he'll suffer for it in the future. I plan to find a school for Qi Xian to get an education as soon as I got my salary. Qi Xian watched me as I went to change clothes. That person just now must be Jiejie's family. To be treated like that by her family, Jiejie must be very sad. I had to find a way to make Jiejie happy. After changing, Qi Xian was dressed as a page boy. With a sound, the curtain at the door opened. Xian's eyes lit up as he looked at me. At this moment, I came out after changing my clothes. The staff member beside us praised, "She's the eldest daughter of the Lu family. So beautiful." Qi Xian praised me. So beautiful. When Lu Yunxi came out after changing, she was full of doubt. Where did everyone go? She walked over and saw me in my costume, and she was about to explode with anger. The staff were whispering, and the sound of them comparing Lu Yunxi to me made her even more embarrassed. She was really angry. Lu Yunxi could only comfort herself. No matter how good-looking, she's just a stunt double. Then she said to me, "So you're Lu Yunxi's stunt double. The costume is very suitable." I directly accepted Lu Yunxi's praise. Seeing that I was ignoring her, Lu Yunxi got very angry. Angry that I could ignore her. Lu Yunxi saw Xie Cheng walking over and instantly transformed into a white lotus, starting to cry pitifully. Seeing the person he liked cry, how could Xie Cheng stand it? Later, during the scene with Lu Miao, I must get revenge for Lu Yunqi. The actors are in position. Everything is ready. I began filming the fight scene with Xie Cheng. My movements were fluid and graceful. My form was elegant. The coordination was perfect. All the fight scenes were done in a single take. The director and staff couldn't help but praise me, praising what a great stunt double I was. So amazing. My little fanboy was stunned. He stood on the side, clicking his tongue in constant praise. Xie Cheng, standing to the side, was very displeased. He was plotting to teach me a lesson later. Xie Cheng had already made a plan to stand up for Lu Yunqi and get revenge on me. For the second take, the director asked if we were ready. I replied to the director that we could begin. But Xie Cheng revealed a sinister smile. During the shoot, Xie Cheng intentionally caused multiple NGs. Either his foot would slip, or he would forget his lines, or the sword in his hand would drop. The director frequently called for stop. At this moment, I was hanging from a wire on the other side, my trembling hands clinging to a rock. I knew exactly what was happening. Qi Xian watched me with concern. Whispers could be heard from behind. Xie Cheng has already caused over 10 NGs. This stunt double has been up there for almost an hour. Another staff member reminded them to keep their voices down. He's a best actor, after all. Qi Xian looked at Xie Cheng and Lu Yunqi in the distance, who both looked smug. Qi Xian thought to himself, even a best actor can't drag Jieji down like this. Qi Xian turned and walked towards Xie Cheng. He walked up to Xie Cheng and patted him. Xie Cheng and Lu Yunqi turned to look, asking Qi Xian what he wanted. Qi Xian said in an innocent tone, "Best actor Gij, do you also need a stunt double like the Jiji over there?" One sentence left both Xie Cheng and Lu Yunqi speechless. Xie Cheng was annoyed at Qi Xian for spouting nonsense. Lu Yunqi also explained from the side, all actors have their off days. Just then, the director said to lower me from the wire. Take a break. We'll shoot the next scene first. Qi Xian whipped his head around and ran towards me. Lu Yunqi frowned, wondering why Qi Xian was so protective of me. Qi Xian quickly handed me a cup of water. Seeing that my hands were bleeding, Qi Xian's heart ached. I quickly reassured him that it was fine. It's fake blood. To save face, Xie Cheng apologized to me. He explained that he wasn't in good form. Lu Yunqi also came forward to explain that Xie Cheng was tired from filming all night, asking me not to be angry. I sneered and patted Lu Yunqi's shoulder. Angry? Xie Cheng isn't worth my anger. Li Yunqi. My words greatly shocked Lu Yunqi. She wondered how I knew her original surname. I continued, she's just a driver's daughter. If you want to live peacefully as Miss Lu, then don't provoke me. I finished speaking in a grave and meaningful tone. I patted Lu Yunqi's shoulder and turned to leave. Lu Yunqi was so scared she broke out in a cold sweat. She wondered how I knew her past. She had no mother since she was young. Her father died after saving my father in a car accident, after which she was adopted by the Lu family. She changed her name and was publicly declared to be their lost child. Seeing the stunned Lu Yunqi, Xie Cheng was very worried. He asked Lu Yunqi if I had said something harsh, then pulled her into his arms. Lu Yunqi gritted her teeth. She absolutely could not let anyone know she wasn't the Lu family's daughter. The bright moon seemed exceptionally brilliant tonight. Over here, Qi Xian was gently dabbing my scraped fingers. He told me he got the ointment from the assistant director. I praised Qi Xian for being so thoughtful. Qi Xian told me it seemed like Xie Cheng was deliberately making things difficult for me. I gazed at the starry sky, a warm feeling in my heart. This child was worried about me. Then I smiled knowingly. Don't worry, Jiejie is not to be trifled with. The leaves rustled. This was a scene between the male and female leads. Dressed in a cyan robe, my long black hair secured with only a wooden hairpin, I held a long sword, my expression cold. Seeing me like this, Xie Cheng couldn't help but feel nervous. The moment the director's call of action ended, I moved. With a flick of the long sword in my hand and a turn of the blade, Xie Cheng, who was opposite me, didn't even have time to react. The tip of my sword was pressed against his throat. The atmosphere suddenly froze. I snorted coldly. Under the moonlight, the cold night wind lifted the hem of my thin outer robe. My long sword, glinting coldly, was pressed right against Xie Cheng's Adam's apple. My beautiful eyes were tinged with mockery. I lowered my voice and sneered, "Is this all you've got?" Xie Cheng's face turned red with anger. He fumbled for words for a long time, but couldn't come up with a reply. Just then, the director shouted, "The male lead's face is blocked. Let's do another take." I smiled and raised the sword in my hand again and placed it on Xie Cheng's neck. Xie Cheng gritted his teeth in anger, convinced I was deliberately retaliating against him. Just then, the director yelled, "Cut. That's a wrap. Everyone prepare for the next scene." As Xie Cheng was lowered from the wire, He was so nervous he didn't watch his step and nearly fell. Meanwhile, I landed steadily. The take was a success. The director immediately yelled, "Cut." The moment I landed, the director and staff rushed over. The staff praised my excellent skills. The director wanted to sign me. Meanwhile, Lu Yunxi stood to the side, deep in thought. Where did I learn such skills? Qi Xian squeezed through the crowd and came to stand before me. He used his small body to shield me from the others. I put a hand to my forehead. Is Qi Xian trying to protect me? How cute. I took Qi Xian's hand, preparing to change and go home. Staff members nearby commented, "The siblings have such a good relationship." We hadn't taken more than a few steps when we saw Xie Cheng, who was still in a daze. I barked coldly, warning Xie Cheng to remember the consequences of provoking me. He couldn't afford them. Xie Cheng's eyes widened in anger. Lu Yunxi sighed with deep worry. I don't know who that little boy is. What if Jie is led astray? Xie Cheng immediately revealed a sinister smile. In a concerned tone, he said to Lu Yunxi, "Don't worry. I'll handle everything." He immediately ordered someone to investigate my recent activities. If he could find some dirt on me, he could get uncle and aunt to discipline me properly. Seeing this, Lu Yunxi smiled smugly. To deal with me, Lu Yunxi, wouldn't even have to lift a finger. On a bright and sunny morning, I got up and went to the dining room to find that Xian Xian had already made breakfast. Looking at Qi Xian's busy back, I sighed in admiration. The boy I'm raising is so well-behaved and sensible. We began our breakfast amidst cheerful laughter. Qi Xian didn't sleep well last night. I urged him to rest and catch up on sleep after the meal. Qi Xian sensed my concern. He quickly insisted he wasn't tired and that I should be the one to rest. Worried about my injured hand, he checked it again. He was about to take out yesterday's ointment to apply it. Seeing his worried expression, I smiled happily. I took his hand in mine and reassured him I'm fine. I told him that since he's still growing, he must get plenty of rest. Qi Xian began to speak excitedly about how amazing my martial arts skills were on set yesterday. He said he wanted to learn martial arts from me. Surprised, I asked him why he wanted to learn martial arts. Qi Xian hesitated, unable to answer for a long time. After a moment, Qi Xian told me, with a serious expression, that he wanted to become strong so he wouldn't be bullied anymore. Looking at his earnest face, I figured he was probably remembering times he had been bullied before. So I patted his shoulder. I promise Xian Xian, Jie will definitely teach you martial arts, and I will definitely protect you. I'll drive away anyone who bullies you. Qi Xian stared at me blankly. Is this what it feels like to be protected by family? Moved, Qi Xian shed tears. It seems Jie considers me an important person. Qi Xian also fell into deep thought. He didn't want to just watch helplessly when Jie was being bullied. He had to learn martial arts from Jie to protect her. After hearing Xian Xian's words, I gently poked his forehead. I reminded him, and you have to promise me something. No more fighting with others, understand? Xian Xian shyly covered his forehead and said he understood. Xian Xian shook his hands. Okay, I promised Jie. I won't do anything that Jie dislikes. I praise Xian Xian for being so good. How about Jie send you to school soon? But Xian Xian said he didn't know anything. I told him that's why, before we find a suitable school, Jie will help you catch up on your studies. But Xian Xian hesitated. The kids at school, they just gang up and bully people. I noticed Xian Xian's unease. I reached out and gently stroked his head, telling him, you have Jie now. If anyone at school bullies you, Jie will not let them get away with it. Xian Xian, there are many things waiting for you in the future. You'll earn a degree, have a promising career, and a happy life. I stroke his head again. So, going to school is just the first step. Xian Xian was silent for a moment. If Jie will always be by my side, with me, then I'm willing. I smiled at him, showing that I would definitely stay with Xian Xian. Xian Xian also smiled happily. Whatever Jie asked me to do, I'll do it. Then, Xian Xian looked at me with determination. Jie, I will definitely not let you down. I happily picked up a piece of food. Well, if Xian Xian wants to learn martial arts, you have to eat more to build up your strength. Just then, I heard someone call my name, Meow Meow. I turned around, confused. I saw it was the eldest son of the Lu family, Lu Yuchen, standing there with a worried look on his face. I remembered this was the original Lu Miao's older brother. But just like the Lu parents, he disliked his own sister and doted on Lu Yunxi instead. He was also the boss of Xie Cheng's company. What was he doing here? Was he here to stand up for those too? At this thought, I spoke to him irritably. What is it? In the previous life, Lu Yunxi wore a new outfit and asked Lu Yuchen, do I look good in this? Lu Yuchen replied, our Cici looks good in anything. He was Lu Yuchen, the eldest son of the Liu family. Although Liu Miao was his biological sister, he had always doted more on Liu Yunqi. He didn't even try to stop it on the day Liu Miao was kicked out of the house. Until the day the Liu family went bankrupt, when Liu Yunqi took what little assets remained and simply left. Liu Yunqi had even said, "We weren't real siblings to begin with. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other." But just as he hit rock bottom and was about to end it all, Liu Miao appeared behind him holding an umbrella, telling him not to give up. "You still have me." At that moment, only Liu Miao offered him a helping hand. Only then did he finally realize who his true family was. Just when he thought it was all too late, he was unexpectedly reborn at the age of 26, a time before the company had gone bankrupt. Looking at me and Xian, Liu Yuqin secretly made a resolution. This time, he would not repeat his past mistakes. Liu Yuqin pleaded with me to go back with him. I shielded Xian behind me and told him firmly, "There's no need. Since we've already drawn a clear line, there's no need to get entangled again. If there's nothing else, please excuse me." After saying this, I took Xian's hand and left. Liu Yuqin watched my departing back with a complex expression, helplessly resting a hand on his forehead. The damage from the past has already been done. It's only natural for Miao Miao to be wary of me. Liu Yuqin then comforted himself. "Besides, this whole rebirth thing is too absurd. No one would believe it. I'll have to take it slow. Miao Miao is cold on the outside, but warm on the inside. As long as I treat her well, she'll understand." After we left the restaurant, Xian curiously asked, "Who was that man?" I told him it was nothing, just an unimportant person. Xian added, "But he seemed to know Jie very well." And he kept looking at Jie. Suddenly, Xian seemed to realize something. Could that man be Jie's ex-boyfriend, here now to pester her? At this thought, Xian tearfully hugged my leg. Xian clenched his fists angrily. "Serves you right for not cherishing Jie. It's too late now." Just then, Xian tugged on my clothes from behind and called, "Jie." He said to me, "He's just one man. Don't be sad. Xian will be with you from now on." Hearing this, I felt helpless. He must have misunderstood something. But since we're starting his tutoring, we should buy some materials first. So I took Xian to a bookstore. I told Xian that we needed both language and math books. Suddenly, Xian heard a shutter click. He immediately looked toward the source of the sound. Not far away, a woman was flusteredly fiddling with her phone. Seeing that she had been discovered, the woman quickly hid her phone behind her back and pretended to whistle. I can't believe I forgot to mute the shutter sound. Xian tugged my hand, pointed at the woman, and said, "Jie." She was secretly taking your picture. The person quickly apologized. "Sorry, I didn't mean any harm. I just thought you were so beautiful and wanted to take a picture." But Xian crossed his arms, firmly telling the woman to delete the photo she had just taken. The air was suddenly very quiet. Xian glared at the woman, his cheeks puffed out, as if to say, "Don't even think about having any ill intentions towards Jie." The woman immediately swooned. So cute. Could this be the legendary loyal puppy type? The woman quickly took out her phone. Delete. I'll delete it right now. Xian looked at me expectantly. "Jie, see? I really can protect you now." I patted Xian's head. Xian is so good. "You have to be this good when you go to the set with Jie later." "Okay." Xian replied happily. The woman on the side swooned. So sweet. Xian and I arrived at the set location. A staff member waved us over hurriedly. "Miss Liu, over here. Before we depart, please try on the costume." "The costume? There's a changing room over there." I walked towards the changing room with the costume in my arms. I told Xian to wait for me here obediently. Xian replied with a happy MHM. "Don't worry, Xian." He struggled to stuff both of our suitcases into the bus provided by the film crew. Just then, Xian heard a voice from behind him. What a coincidence. "We meet again." Xian turned around. He saw Liu Yunqi standing there, grinning at him. Liu Yunqi took out a piece of candy. "Little boy, what's your relationship with my sister, Liu Miao? Tell me, and I'll give you this candy." Xian looked at Liu Yunqi with a grim expression. This person is plotting something. Seeing Xian unmoved, Liu Yunqi waved the candy in her hand again. "Hurry and tell me, and this candy is yours." Xian calmly told Liu Yunqi. Jie said not to accept things from strangers. He thought to himself, "I will never betray Jiejia to anyone. Lu Yunxi was still trying to explain, how am I a stranger? But Xian Xian retorted, then who are you? Does my Jiejia even know you? Hearing Xian Xian's words, Lu Yunxi's face twitched. This little brat is tough to deal with. But she suppressed her anger and continued. When an adult asks you a question, you should answer honestly, only to be interrupted by Xian Xian. Jiejia also said not to give personal information to strangers. At this point, Lu Yunxi could no longer contain her anger, trembling with rage at Xian Xian's words. But just then, Xian Xian spotted me and waved happily, shouting, Jiejia. I had just finished changing into my costume and walked out, wondering why Lu Yunxi was here. Xian Xian ran over and grabbed my hand. Jiejia, there's a strange person here. She was asking about our relationship. After hearing Xian Xian, I turned and looked coldly at Lu Yun11. Lu Yunxi, it seems you haven't learned your lesson. Lu Yunxi was forced to retreat step by my powerful aura. Oh, Jiejia, you misunderstood. I just thought he was cute and wanted to give him some candy. She then quickly ran off, saying, I have something to do. I'm heading back first. Xian Xian immediately looked at me with expectant eyes. Quick, praise me. She tried to tempt me with candy, but I didn't fall for it. I remember everything Jiejia taught me. I looked at him with a gratified smile. Good. In that case, Jiejia will buy you candy as a reward later. But Xian Xian said, Jiejia, can I have a different reward? I'm not a little kid anymore. I don't eat candy. Oh, is that so? I said, pondering seriously for a moment. Then I thought of a reward for Xian Xian. I told him happily, in that case, let's buy a few more workbooks. But Xian Xian looked pained. No. On the bus, Jiejia sat with him. I told Xian Xian, you need to memorize this formula. For the subsequent steps, you just plug the values into the formula. At this moment, Xian Xian was secretly watching me as I explained the problem. I gently told him, and then like this, Xian Xian, who was staring at me, felt his heart flutter. Jiejia is so gentle. Xian Xian felt that he was liking Jiejia more and more. Noticing Xian Xian's strange expression, I suddenly asked, Xian Xian, what's wrong? Is there a part you didn't understand? This startled him. Xian Xian quickly snapped out of it, right? You just plug this formula in here. I get it. Xian Xian then added, oh, right, Jiejia. I was wondering, for this problem, if I use this formula to solve it, would it be a bit easier? Looking at Xian Xian, I was surprised. He's already developed his own problem-solving methods so quickly. Qi Xian really is smart. I was overjoyed. Xian Xian is so amazing. He can already think outside the box. Then, I gave Xian Xian a kiss on the cheek. Xian Xian's eyes widened in shock. Xian Xian touched the spot where I had kissed him. This is the first time she's kissed me. I smiled at him. That's all for today. You can rest for a while. But at this moment, Xian Xian was full of energy. Wanting another kiss, he quickly said, Jiejia, I can study one more lesson. He thought to himself, if I get the answer right again, will she kiss me again? After a while, the cruise bus arrived at its destination. Everyone got off. Xian Xian, who was following me, looked like he was about to cry. There were no more kisses for the rest of the trip. It looks like I'll have to keep trying harder. Xian Xian. I was about to take out our 2 suitcases when Xian Xian rushed forward, saying, Jiejia, let me. Suddenly, a hand reached for the suitcase. Xian Xian and I turned our heads at the same time to look at the person. Unexpectedly, it was Lu Yuchen. He said to me, let me. Seeing Lu Yuchen, I was puzzled. Why is he here too? But out of politeness, I thanked him. He replied, you're welcome. And so, the few of us stood there awkwardly. Suddenly, Xian Xian grabbed both of our suitcases and yanked them over to our side. Xian Xian was wondering why he was pestering Jiejia again. Lu Yuchen handed me a room key. Meow meow, this is your room key. Go get some rest. I'll have someone send dinner over to you. He had invested in this film, Fei Huang, and happened to be visiting the set today. I took the room key and thanked him, but told him dinner wasn't necessary. I'll be going now. Qi Xian also turned back to tell Lu Yuchen that he and I had plenty of good food. Watching my departing back, Lu Yuchen's expression was complicated, my name still echoing in his heart. Meow meow. Just then, Lu Yuchen heard someone call from behind him, Dage. He saw Lu Yunxi clinging to his arm. See, I was right. Jiejia hasn't contacted us at all since leaving home, and now she suddenly appears with this little boy. Lu Yunxi didn't notice Lu Yuchen staring at her with a dark expression. Lu Yunxi was still rambling on. If people see this, who knows what they'll speculate. Then, she gloated inwardly. Lu Miao, With Dage watching, let's see how arrogant you can be now. Lu Yuchen, however, shot Lu Yunxi a displeased look. He pushed her hand off his arm and warned her, I will handle Miao Miao's affairs. Don't meddle. Seeing Lu Yuchen walk away, Lu Yunxi panicked. She quickly apologized, Dage, don't be angry. I'll stop talking. Suddenly, Lu Yunxi realized something was off. Dage, how has he changed too? Dage has always been so good to me. Then, she gritted her teeth. It's all because of Lu Miao. I will definitely make her pay for this. Meanwhile, Lu Yuchen arrived at my door with food in hand and knocked. Qi Xian opened the door a crack. Seeing it was Lu Yuchen, he couldn't help but demand, what are you doing here? He's like a ghost that won't go away. Lu Yuchen was about to ask where I was when Qi Xian shot back. What do you want with Jiejie? Lu Yuchen couldn't help but realize this little guy is very on guard. Just then, inside the room, with one hand on my hair and the other on my waist, I asked Xian Xian, who's there? Xian Xian, I'm here. Qi Xian walked to my side, grabbed my hand, and called me Jiejie. Xian Xian, with a wronged look on his face, told me there was a stranger. I realized the kiddo must have been scared. I glared at Lu Yuchen with displeasure. Lu Yuchen quickly explained that he hadn't done anything. He inwardly sighed at how quickly this child's expression changed. He then remembered that before his rebirth, he had never seen this child. Could he be a danger to Miao Miao? Thinking of this, Lu Yuchen spoke up and told me, Miao Miao, I have something to discuss with you. Our Lu Corporation has been doing charity recently, donating a lot of things to the biggest orphanage in the city. The conditions there are quite good. This child can be sent there. It's not very convenient for a girl like you to have him around. Hearing Lu Yuchen's words, Qi Xian worriedly hugged my arm tighter. I raised my hand, pulled Qi Xian into my arms, and told Lu Yuchen, Qi Xian is my younger brother. There's nothing inconvenient about it. If there's nothing else, please leave. Hearing me defend Qi Xian like this, Lu Yuchen panicked and quickly explained, that's not it. Miao Miao, listen to me. Lu Yuchen held out the bag in his hand to me, saying, I came to bring you something to eat. These are all your favorites. With a displeased look, I warned him, Lu Yuchen, I've already been kicked out of the Lu family. I have nothing to do with you all anymore. Don't come and bother me again. Lu Yuchen hurriedly blocked the closing door. Miao Miao, Mom, Dad, and I were wrong before. Come back with me. From now on, with me here, no one will dare to bully you. Lu Yuchen added, I will never let you be alone again. Before Lu Yuchen could finish, Qi Xian stepped in front of me to remind Lu Yuchen, Jiejie is not alone. Jiejie's family is me now. I will always protect her and take care of her. Since you all didn't cherish Jiejie before, don't come and harass her now. After saying, take care, I won't see you out, he forcefully shut the door, leaving only Lu Yuchen standing dumbfounded at the doorway, calling my name. Qi Xian wrapped his arms around my waist and said, Jiejie, I'll keep an eye on him from now on. I won't let him bother you again. I dotingly patted Qi Xian's head and said, thank you. Qi Xian realized that Lu Yuchen was my family, not an ex-boyfriend. But that was still not okay. Qi Xian had already decided that I belonged to him alone. I also realized something was wrong. Did Lu Yuchen take the wrong medicine? He actually wanted to take me home. He invested in this drama. I can't stay here for long, lest more trouble arises. I told Qi Xian, Xian, once the filming is done in a few days, we'll go back. Jiejie can still find other film crews to work as a stunt double. Xian told me to rest for a few more days and not to work too hard. Just then, Qi Xian said, oh, right, Jiejie. He then quickly walked over to a spot. I saw Qi Xian hand me a workbook, saying, I've finished all the exercises you assigned. I guarantee there are no mistakes. He anxiously added, Jiejie, Xian will always be obedient. He then looked at me pitifully, pleading, please don't send me to the orphanage, okay? Hearing this, I angrily tapped his head. Qi Xian let out a cry. I pinched his cheek and reminded him, Xian is my family. Jiejie won't send you away. Don't let your imagination run wild, you know? Qi Xian quickly agreed. I told Qi Xian, I've selected a few schools here. They're all accepting transfer students. Come take a look and see which one you want to go to. But Qi Xian said he would listen to me. Then he looked at me happily. The school Jiejie chooses for me will definitely be the best. In a hotel on the other side, Lu Yuchen, with a disappointed look, carried that bag of food and walked down the hotel corridor. At this moment, Lu Yunxi was standing in front of her own room, waiting for Lu Yuchen to return. Seeing Lu Yuchen come back, Lu Yunxi called out, "Dage." Lu Yuchen felt a wave of disgust. It was exactly this kind of expression. In his past life, he was completely fooled by her feigned, pitiful, and sensible act. So he asked her coldly, "What is it?" Lu Yunxi hurried forward to hug Lu Yuchen's arm. "Dage, did I do something wrong to make you unhappy? You're scaring me." Hearing Lu Yunxi say this, Lu Yuchen looked at Lu Yunxi with disgust. Seeing Lu Yuchen remain unmoved, Lu Yunxi looked at him again with tears in her eyes and called out, "Dage." Unexpectedly, Lu Yuchen pushed Lu Yunxi's hand away and warned her, "Don't instigate Xie Cheng to go after Miao Miao again." Lu Yunxi was still trying to argue. "I didn't. How could I do that to Jieji?" Before she could finish, she was interrupted by Lu Yuchen. He reminded Lu Yunxi again, "You'd better remember my words." Then Lu Yuchen slammed the door shut, leaving Lu Yunxi standing there, dumbfounded. Lu Yunxi realized something was wrong. Miao Miao, Dage, since when did he care so much about that abandoned child? Even the way he addresses her has become so intimate. Then her eyes turned fierce. On what grounds? What does an abandoned child like her have to compete with me? She's just asking for it. A few days later, I went to a film crew that was recruiting a female stunt double ready to apply. I handed my resume to the staff member and said, "My name is Lu Miao. I'm here to apply for the female stunt double position." But the staff member said, "I'm sorry, the female stunt double position has already been filled." He sighed, "Alright." I couldn't help but wonder. This was the third company I had applied to today, and it was full again. How could this be? It seems someone is deliberately tripping me up from behind. Lu Yunxi or Lu Yuchen. Just then, I heard someone behind me whisper, "Look, that's her." One person said, "What a pity with such good qualifications." But another person reminded him. Best Actor Xie said, "Not to hire her." Do you dare to offend the best actor? I realized it was Xie Cheng. How childish. As if this is the only way I can earn a living. Meanwhile, I returned home. I opened the door, holding my resume. I sniffed carefully inside the room. The delicious smell of food. I suddenly discovered that Xian was seriously cooking in the kitchen. At this moment, Chi Xian was watching a live stream on his phone with a serious expression, learning to cook. Seeing the focused Xian, I smiled with relief. I leaned in behind Chi Xian and said, "It smells so good. What dish are you making?" When Chi Xian saw me return, he said happily that we could eat soon. He was making my favorite Kung Pao chicken. He learned it from a live stream. I realized that Xian was cooking according to a live stream on his phone. I looked at the cooking video being broadcasted on the live streaming app on the phone. I suddenly realized that in all my worlds, I had never tried live streaming. At this moment, Xian happily said, "Jiejia, just wait a little longer. It'll be ready soon." I also happily responded, telling Xian to be careful. After a while, a dish that looked, smelled, and tasted perfect was ready. Xian looked at me with anticipation, wanting me to try it quickly. I hurriedly agreed. I then picked up a piece of meat with my chopsticks and put it in my mouth. With a calm expression, I savored it carefully. I told Xian that it was delicious. "Xian, you're amazing. It's just a tiny bit salty." Xian said, "Really? I want to try too." Then Xian also picked up a piece of meat and put it in his mouth. He tasted it. I saw Xian's face darken instantly. He quickly grabbed a glass of water nearby and started gulping it down. "How is it so salty? Looks like I need to practice more before I can cook for Jiejia again." Looking at Xian's reaction, I couldn't help but think how cute he was. Xian silently moved that dish aside, telling me to eat more of the other dishes. He said he would wash the dishes later. I agreed that I would eat more. After a while, Xian came out after washing the dishes and saw me looking at my phone. He quickly asked what I was looking at. Looking at the video title preview on the phone, "Super Delicious Yuxiang Rousey." Xian realized this was Shan Sui's live stream. I asked Xian, "Do you want to watch Jeji's live stream?" Xian looked at me with anticipation and told me with a determined expression that of course he wanted to watch. I've decided. I'll live stream cooking from now on. Xian said excitedly. "So you'll be a food vlogger? Jeji's cooking is so delicious. You'll definitely become a huge hit." Then Xian said, "All right, Jiejia, let me use your phone for a second." Watching Xian tapping continuously on the phone, I couldn't help but wonder what he was doing. I saw a username on the phone called Shan Sui. The only follower was called Shan Sui's #1 fan. Cien happily showed me the phone. Say, I'm Sean Sway's first fan. Are there any fan benefits? I happily told Cien, I'll make tomorrow's live stream dish in advance and give it to you as a late night snack. Cien was clearly stunned for a moment. He helplessly agreed. All right, what Cien actually wanted was a kiss from Jie. I looked at the disappointed Cien in confusion. The next evening, I placed the cooking ingredients on the table, aimed the camera at my hands, and started the live stream. Today, I'll be showing everyone how to make the dish Laziji Ding. The ingredients needed for this dish are very simple. You just need to prepare chicken thigh meat and green and red peppers. Additionally, prepare a small amount of Sichuan peppercorns, ginger slices, star anise, and soy sauce. But the number of viewers was still one. Cien stood by my side, wondering, where are the people? Why hasn't anyone come to watch yet? Cien stood to the side and started to secretly watch me cook. I was still explaining the steps. First, chop the green and red peppers into small cubes. Just then, Cien noticed that people had started to come in and watch. The number of viewers rose to several dozen. The comments were all saying things like, is the streamer a girl? Her hands are quite nice. Make the streamer show her face. At this moment, Cien was looking at the viewers' comments with a displeased expression. I continued to explain. Heat oil in the wok. Add ginger slices, star anise, Sichuan peppercorns, and garlic cloves, and stir fry until fragrant. The crowd was commenting again. Is the streamer especially ugly? That's why she doesn't dare to show her face. Someone said my hands were very fair and nice looking, but someone else said it was because her hands were nice that she was only filming them. Seeing these comments, Cien became furious. How dare someone say Jie isn't good looking? Just as I turned to get the soy sauce, Cien was behind me. He stealthily started adjusting the phone's angle. The viewers were still wondering why the screen was shaking. Just as I turned around, the phone screen was aimed right at my face. The viewers all got excited. Quickly follow. She's actually a great beauty. She's beautiful and can cook. At this moment, the number of people in a live stream also began to skyrocket. Having achieved his goal, Cien looked at the phone smugly. Let's see who dares to say Jie isn't good looking now. Just then, the Laziji Ding was ready. I reminded the viewers, that's all for today's live stream. If there are any dishes you'd like to see, you can leave a message in the comment section. Bye-bye. I looked at the phone, which showed 12,752 followers and 12,000 in gifts received. I'm amused that the platform and the streamer's revenue share is a 30-70 split. Not bad for a debut. Cien congratulated me. Jie, you got over 10,000 followers on your first stream. That's amazing. When I was watching the replay, I suddenly realized I didn't show my face. At this, Cien suddenly became nervous. He hurriedly started to explain, Jie, the camera suddenly tilted while you were cooking. I adjusted it and might have filmed you. He quickly apologized and thought to himself, Jie won't be angry, right? I realized he saw someone say I was ugly, so he deliberately fought back. This little guy, I patted his head and told him, it's just a small thing. No need to say sorry. Cien cheered up and quickly asked what I was streaming tomorrow, offering to help me. I thought about it seriously and decided to make shrimp and tofu soup tomorrow. I told him, I'll just prepare the shrimp in a bit. You could go watch some TV. But Cien hugged my arm and said, no, let's prepare it together. I want to stay with Jie. I happily agreed. The next day, I started my second live stream. I greeted everyone and introduced the dish for today, shrimp and tofu soup. First, we'll mash the tofu and then soak the shiitake mushrooms. At this moment, the comments were not about the dish at all. Looking at these comments, Cien was still annoyed. What are these people doing? Cien realized this wouldn't do. He then picked up a bowl from his side. He secretly resolved, Jie can only be mine. Then, Cien happily walked to my side and handed me the bowl of shrimp. Jie, I've prepared the shrimp. I praised him, good boy. Cien said again, Jie, will you let me eat the dish you're making today too? The Laziji Ding from yesterday was super delicious. At this, the comments exploded again, all discussing who this kid was and why he got to eat it while they didn't. Looking at the comments on the phone, Cien felt a wave of smugness. It's useless for you all to be jealous. Then Cien asked me, Jie, is there anything else I can help with? So I asked Cien to help me get some salt. Cien said, okay, and went to get the salt. I wondered, did he see the comments? As I continued to explain how to make today's dish, the comments were discussing who the little kid was, saying he was also very good looking, that my voice was pleasant, and they wanted me to sing a song. Even just humming a few lines would do. Seeing people in the comments asking me to sing, I hesitated. I'm a food vlogger, not a voice actor vlogger. At this moment, Xian leaned close to me and whispered, Jie, does everyone want you to sing? I nodded in silent agreement. Xian muttered to the side, I haven't even heard Jie sing yet. So I asked Xian, do you want to hear me sing too? Then I smiled, all right then. I said to the live stream, I'll grant your wish when my followers exceed 10,000. Unexpectedly, Xian panicked. I want to hear Jie sing for me, not for them. Suddenly, a few comments like this appeared in the chat. Miss, do you remember me? We met at the bookstore. From now on, I'm your loyal fan. Looking at the content of the comments, Xian looked up at me. Bookstore. Suddenly, Xian remembered. This was the person from the bookstore that day. The woman who secretly took pictures of Jie. She even called him loyal puppy brother. Xian looked helpless. This world is too small. She's actually watching Jie's live stream too. I turned my head and saw Xian over there, scratching his head while looking at the comments on the phone. I smiled with relief. Xian really pays attention to the comments. But he doesn't like it when people say bad things. And he doesn't like it when they say good things either. So cute. The viewers in the live stream saw me smile, and the chat exploded again. They all commented, the goddess is so beautiful. She slays me. I want to eat the food Miss makes. On the other side, a man was watching my live stream on his phone. The man allowed a soft chuckle. It turned out that the man was the CEO of the live streaming platform, Huaqingyi. He couldn't help but exclaim, she's only been streaming for 2 days and already has 40,000 followers. This is unheard of since the platform launched. Truly unprecedented. The secretary beside him quickly added, yes. At first, we also suspected she was faking the numbers. But after verification, they're all active followers. The man's interest was immediately piqued. He quickly told his secretary to contact this Shan Sui. We must get her to sign with us. He thought to himself, they absolutely cannot let this money tree go. Meanwhile, I took Xian to the aquarium. Xian looked happily at the building before him. I told him, when you were watching TV yesterday, you seemed to particularly like this place, so I thought I'd bring you here to see it. Xian looked at me, moved. Thank you, Jie. Xian thought to himself, I know she's good to me. That's why I never take the initiative to ask her for anything. Because it's too hard for her to earn money, I don't want her to worry too much about me. But I never expected that she is truly concerned about me at every moment. Then, our hands clasped tightly together. Looking at the various kinds of fish in the aquarium, Xian let out a gasp of amazement. Wow, so beautiful. Just then, Xian pulled my hand. Jie, let's take a picture together. I happily agreed. So I happily held the cheerful Xian, who was making a peace sign. With a click, the two of us successfully took our first photo. After the picture was taken, Xian had a look of anticipation. This is my first photo with Jie. I also took the photo and thanked the person who took it. Just then, Xian looked at me excitedly. Jie, let me see how it turned out. Suddenly, before Xian could finish, he was interrupted by a voice from the side. This area is being temporarily cleared. Please cooperate. I saw Lu Yunxi walk out from the crowd. The people nearby exclaimed, it's Lu Yunxi. She's so beautiful in person. Is she here for a photo shoot? At this moment, I was speechless. How do I run into her everywhere? And Xian, beside me, was glaring at Lu Yunxi angrily. I then took Xian's hand, preparing to leave. Let's go over there. But unexpectedly, Lu Yunxi still saw us. Lu Yunxi called out to me with feigned surprise, meow meow. Xian and I couldn't help but pause. At this moment, Lu Yunxi deliberately pretended to be nonchalant. She told the staff beside her, it's all right, don't disturb others. Let them continue their tour. Then she snorted coldly. Lu meow, I am radiant now, but you can only be driven away. You could work yourself to death and never close this gap. Just then, Lu Yunxi walked up behind us with feigned happiness. Meow meow, what a coincidence to meet you here. The crowd nearby started gossiping again. Look, Lu Yunxi actually knows her. As expected, a beauty's friends are also beauties. Why do I feel like Lu Yunxi's friend's legs are longer than hers? Why does she look a bit familiar? At this, Xian chuckled softly. Then he looked at me excitedly. Jie, let me take a picture of you. You look so beautiful today. Lu Yunxi immediately got angry. This kid is deliberately provoking me. I also spoke up to warn Lu Yunxi. Lu Yunxi, don't you ever learn? I told you not to provoke me, yet you still come looking for trouble. Lu Yunxi started her act again. I don't mean anything else. Even though you were kicked out of the Lu family, we are still sisters. Suddenly, Lu Yunqi grabbed my hand and called out, "Meow meow, if you're short on money, you can come to me. Don't be shy." Lu Yunqi thought to herself, "I've already told Xiecheng not to let you have any job opportunities." And Xiecheng didn't disappoint me. "Lu Miao, you probably can't even afford to eat now, can you?" Suddenly, someone in the crowd recognized me. It's Shan Sui, that streamer Shan Sui. Xian at the side realized something was wrong. "Oh no, Jijia has been recognized." The crowd immediately surrounded me. Shan Sui is even more beautiful in person than on the stream. "Miss Shan Sui, can we get a photo? A true goddess. I love her." At this moment, Lu Yunqi was grinding her teeth in anger off to the side. "What Shan Sui? What live stream? Lu Miao, you really know how to make a scene." I looked helpless. I originally brought the kiddo out to have fun. Now this is so troublesome. Suddenly, Xian grabbed my hand tightly. Then he quickly started running outside. "Jie, I'll protect you." The two of us finally ran outside the aquarium. Xian was relieved. They probably didn't follow us, right? Sigh. I was planning to play with Jie for a while longer. Unexpectedly, Xian's tone suddenly changed. "But as long as we're safe, that's what matters." I happily thanked Xian. "Thank you, Xian." I patted Xian's shoulder. "I'll bring you here again tomorrow. Let's go back first." Xian also happily agreed. Then Xian suggested, "Oh right, Jie, let's go get the photo printed. This is my first photo with Jie from our outing. I must treasure it." I happily held Xian's hand and said, "Okay, I'll listen to Xian." That night, back at home, Xian was solemnly writing on the back of the photo, putting down my name and Xian's name in today's aquarium. I suddenly appeared behind Xian and asked, "Xian, where are you writing?" Xian hurriedly turned around, shy and flustered. "Jie, I'm writing our names on the back of the photo." I quickly praised him. "Xian, your handwriting is very nice." Suddenly, Xian said, "Jie, I want to learn piano. Is that okay?" I was puzzled. "Why do you suddenly want to learn piano?" Xian pursed his lips, thinking to himself, "Online, a lot of girls say they like guys who can play the piano. Jie will like it too, right?" Remembering the comments from that night, Xian made up his mind. "So, I have to learn. I want to make her like me more." So Xian said, "I like it, so I want to learn. Is that okay?" But Xian thought to himself, "But learning piano must be very expensive. It's already so hard for her to earn money to support me. I shouldn't make such a request." But unexpectedly, I agreed in one go. "Okay, I'll go buy a piano tomorrow." At this moment, I was so happy. The kiddo is starting to make requests. It proves he sees me as family and isn't so reserved anymore. This is great. The next day, after returning home, I showed Xian the piano I had just bought. Xian let out a happy wow. "Thank you, Jie." Then I walked over to the piano and sat down. I gently placed my fingers on the piano keys, following the sheet music. I began to play a beautiful melody. Xian was stunned. "Jie is even so good at playing the piano. Is there anything Jie can't do?" I told Xian, "From now on, I'll be in charge of teaching you piano." Xian said he would definitely study hard. He thought, to stay by Jie's side, I have to be like Jie and know how to do everything. Xian then suggested, "Jie, you look so beautiful when you play the piano. I want to record it." Of course, I agreed. Xian had just taken out his phone to record when he suddenly noticed the content on the screen. Displayed on the phone was a photo of me and Xian with the caption, "God-tier visuals spotted at the aquarium." Xian continued to scroll down. Unexpectedly, he found many photos of me. In the photos, I was looking gently at Xian. The comments below were all saying, "Jie is so beautiful. What kind of goddess is this? I'm blinded by her beauty. Can I soul transmigrate into that kid?" Xian looked at these comments helplessly. Then Xian handed his phone to me. "Jie, someone posted your photos on Weibo." Suddenly, ring, the phone in my pocket rang. I immediately stood up and answered the call. "Who is it?" I heard someone on the other end of the line wanting to invite me to star as the female lead in their production. I immediately refused. "Sorry, I don't have time recently." Xian was about to ask, "Jie, a production crew invited you to act." But before he could finish, he was interrupted by another phone ringing. I answered the phone again, only to find it was another production crew inviting me to star in a movie. I refused once more. "I'm sorry, I don't have time recently." Xian felt something was off. Jie is famous, but why am I not happy at all? After I hung up all the calls, Xian asked me, "Jie, are you still going to go film?" I stroked Xian's head. "Not recently. There's something very important I need to prepare for." Xian asked me what it was. I raised my eyebrows at him and snapped my fingers. "It's a secret for now." Then I said, "Come, I'll teach you how to play the piano." But Xian started to worry. You can't even tell me? What could it be? Sitting on the chair, Xian was still thinking. Speaking of which, I also have something. Should I tell Jia or not? Xian thought for a while, then gave up. Forget it. I'd better not trouble her. At noon, I handed a shopping list to Xian. Xian, go to the supermarket and help Jia buy the things on this list. I need them for tomorrow's live stream. With the leftover money, you can buy some snacks for yourself. Xian immediately agreed. I told Xian to be sure to stay safe. I figured that list would keep him busy for a while. I would also have time to prepare. Today is Xian's 13th birthday. I must give him a big surprise. I placed strawberries one by one onto the cake I had just finished making. Strawberries are his favorite. He will definitely like this strawberry cake that I made with my own hands. The time came to evening. Xian arrived at the door carrying the things he bought. Xian thought to himself, today is my birthday, but she probably doesn't know. So I bought a small cake to celebrate simply with Jia. Xian hesitantly opened the door, but was stunned by the scene before him. He saw many balloons hanging at the entrance, as well as happy birthday in English. Just then, Xian heard someone calling him. Xian. At this moment, I was holding the birthday cake I made today. Xian, happy 13th birthday. Xian was shocked by the scene before him. Jia. I placed the cake on the table and told Xian to hurry and blow out the candles. But Xian said, Jia, you have to blow out the candles with me. So Xian and I blew out the 2 candles representing Xian's age together. I turned my head and asked Xian, you're 13, are you happy? Xian immediately answered me firmly. Xian was trying his best to hold back his tears. Jia is celebrating my birthday. I can't cry. I won't cry. But Xian still couldn't hold back and threw himself into my arms. Jia. The tears also streamed down uncontrollably. Xian remembered that time he was beaten half to death over a steamed bun. Luckily, he met her, but she gently extended her hand to him. Let's go home. She gave him a warmth and care he had never had before. If one day she was no longer by my side, I would go crazy, right? Just then, I took out a gift box. Xian, Jia also prepared a gift for you. Quick, open it and see. Saying that, I handed the gift box to him. Xian stared at the necklace in the box in surprise, murmuring, it's so beautiful. This is the first time I've received a birthday present. Suddenly, Xian's eyes lit up. This style is. Before Xian could finish, I smiled and told him that the necklace I gave him is a matching set with mine. Xian's eyes were still a little red, but he couldn't stop the smile on his face. Jia, thank you. He rejoiced inwardly. It's a matching set with Jia's necklace. I smiled happily. Xian, if you like it. Before I could finish, Xian suddenly planted a quick kiss on my cheek. I was stunned by this sudden kiss. At this moment, Xian looked embarrassed. I kissed Jia. Would she be unhappy? Coming to my senses, I leaned over and hugged the dazed Xian. I then personally put the necklace I gave him on his neck. Looking at Xian wearing the necklace, I smiled happily. It suits Xian so well. Xian was very moved. Jia, I will never take it off. I will wear it forever. Me too. I gently stroked Xian's head. Let's hurry and eat the cake. Xian also replied happily, I'll cut it. After eating the cake, Xian kept praising Jia. The cake is so delicious. I looked at him with a doting smile. As long as you like it, Xian. Suddenly, my phone rang. I frowned as I looked at the message on my phone. Seeing my strange expression, Xian also leaned over. Jia, what's wrong? On the phone, Weibo showed big expose. Newly popular influencer Sean Sway is actually a delinquent. Sean Sway was previously expelled from school. Looking at the comments below, I knew it. How could someone so good-looking not have a story? Turns out, apart from her face, she's got nothing. Don't you guys think Sean Sway is so pretentious? Instantly, Xian gritted his teeth in anger. These people are simply detestable. Xian thought angrily. Who do you think you are? You're not worthy of gossiping about her like this. Seeing the furious Xian, I quickly picked up a strawberry and put it in his mouth. Here, Xian, your favorite strawberry. Xian asked doubtfully, Jia, what do we do about these people spreading nonsense online? I smiled contemptuously. Just let them perform for now. I realized it must have been Lu Yunxi. Besides Lu Yunxi, no one else would do something like this. She needs to be taught a lesson. But Xian was filled with self-blame. I'm not a child anymore. but I still can't protect Jiejia. Letting Jiejia be bullied by these people. Xian secretly vowed in his heart, I have to grow up faster. Even faster. On the other side, Lu Yuqin looked at the malicious posts and comments, slandering me online with a cold expression. He told his secretary to note down these marketing accounts that were slandering Meow Meow and prepare to sue. The secretary agreed. By the way, Mr. Lu, I found out that Miss Lu Miao's previous interview with WT hit a wall because of Mr. Xie's intentions. Also, the few production crews you recommended to Miss Lu Miao, she hasn't replied yet. Lu Yuqin said, I know. Send more scripts to Meow Meow for her to choose from. And don't use my name. The secretary added from the side, okay. Also, Miss Lu Yunxi has been behaving herself recently. Hearing Lu Yunxi's name, Lu Yuqin immediately became impatient. Don't mention her to me. Lu Yuqin realized that a lot of this was Lu family business. No outsider would know. It must be Lu Yunxi again. Immediately, Lu Yuqin asked his secretary to register a Weibo account for him. The secretary was surprised at first, then agreed. Lu Yuqin smiled playfully. Lu Yunxi, you want to play, don't you? Then I'll play with you. That night, at my and Xian's home, Xian was sleeping. Suddenly, Xian had a dream about people online maliciously slandering me as a delinquent. Xian shot up from the bed with a whoosh. This is infuriating. I can't just watch them slander Jiejia and do nothing. Xian quietly put on his slippers, but Jiejia told me to sleep early and not to look at my phone. Xian gently opened the door that I have to think of a way. Just as Xian was about to walk out, he suddenly heard the sound of a keyboard typing coming from the living room. Xian carefully peeked his head out and saw me sitting in front of the computer. That it's Jiejia. What is she doing? Just then, I spoke. Xian still not asleep? Xian was startled that I've been discovered. Xian walked towards me awkwardly. Sorry, Jiejia. I can't sleep. How can I not understand? Are you worried about me? Xian nodded in silent agreement. Xian suddenly became excited. He clenched his fists. Those people are saying such nasty things. What can I do to fight back? I gently patted Xian's shoulder. Xian, don't be anxious. I smiled contemptuously that I will drag out these jumping clowns hiding in the shadows. Then, I smiled gently at Xian. Just then, Xian saw my computer screen filled with dense green code. Xian was shocked once again. Jiejia knows how to do this too. On the other side, looking at the Weibo hot search full of marketing accounts exposing Shan Sui, whose expose and negative material posts were deleted across the entire internet. People were now mocking the person who made the expose. Seeing this, Lu Yunxi angrily slammed her phone on the table. Damn it, Lu Yunxi guessed it must be Lu Yuqin. Only Lu Yuqin could do this on a network-wide scale. Damn it, why is he still protecting Lu Miao so much? Suddenly, Lu Yunxi realized. Then wouldn't he find out it was me very soon? What should I do? Just then, Lu Yunxi thought of something. That's right. Then, Lu Yunxi revealed a wicked smile. Lu Yunxi picked up her phone and found her recent calls. Lu Yunxi found Lu Mu's number and called it. On the other side, Xian walked to my side in his slippers. Jiejia, I showed him my phone. These marketing accounts are hilarious. They're being slandered themselves, and they're still writing nonsense about you. Xian was overjoyed. The posts slandering you are also gone. I didn't expect Jiejia to have hacking skills. You made them shut up without even having to confront them. Can you teach me? I realized something was wrong. I didn't delete the original posts. Who could have done it? I suddenly pinched Xian's face that you've been glued to your phone from yesterday to today. Have you done your practice problems? Xian quickly recalled. I've finished them all. I guarantee they're all correct. I let go. Xian looked at me expectantly again. Jiejia, please teach me. That way, if anyone bullies us again, I can make them pay immediately. I stood up and reminded Xian, you're still young now. Wait until you grow up. Xian was still trying to argue. I'm not young. But I cut him off directly. Go practice the piano first. Then come and help me prepare the materials for tonight's live stream. Xian sat on the piano bench. Jiejia, I've already learned the new piece you taught me. I'll play it for you. I had a happy expression. Okay. Xian secretly resolved to himself. Jiejia is watching me. I must play well. Then, Xian closed his eyes. He placed his fingers gently on the piano keys. Then he opened his eyes again and played a pleasant and beautiful melody. I was on the side, watching the focused Xian playing the piano with a shocked expression. I smiled with relief. Xian will definitely be very handsome when he grows up. On the other side, at the Lu family villa, Lu Yunxi stood in the living room, planning her objective. First, I'll tell Mom that Lu Yuchen is protecting Lu Miao and bullying me. To avoid. Just then, Lu Yunxi heard a click sound from behind her. Lu Yunxi thought her mother had returned and turned around with a pleasant surprise. Before she could say a word, she was frightened by the person before her. It was Lu Yuchen who had returned. Lu Yuchen began to furiously reprimand Lu Yun11. Lu Yunxi, do you think complaining to Mom and Dad is useful? Lu Yuchen suddenly looked at Lu Yunxi with a sharp gaze. You're just a dog, our Lu family raised. Lu Yunxi was frightened by Lu Yuchen's words. Why? Why would you say that to me? I'm the good baby in everyone's eyes. Lu Yunxi suddenly gritted her teeth. Who the hell do you think you are, Lu Yuchen? Lu Yuchen looked at Lu Yunxi and secretly vowed, since I, Lu Yuchen, have been reborn and gotten a second chance, then I will let everyone see clearly what kind of person Lu Yunxi really is. I will make her pay the price she deserves. On the other side, at my and Xian's home, I was live streaming and cooking. The fermented dough was cut into small, evenly sized dough balls. Just then, Xian, who was beside me, reminded me in a low voice to look at the screen. Hearing Xian's words, I looked at the screen curiously and saw a spaceship. The system prompted me that I received a gift, 4 fashion spaceships. I exclaimed, 4 spaceships? What a big spender. Just as I was looking at the screen, the system prompted me again that I had received 10 fashion spaceships. The bullet comments were all saying, that's a whale. I'm speechless. I happily responded to the screen, thank you for the gifts. I thought I'd check who it was later. That night after I finished my stream, I looked at the top of the fan ranking. I thought the one who sent the spaceships must be him. Just then, a private message was sent over. I was puzzled. Did he send me a private message? I opened the private message and found that the person said, Shan Sui, you must help my wife. I'll agree to anything you want. Looking at the private message, I began to think. Suddenly, I remembered that in the original story, when the original owner of this body was down and out, she had once helped a woman with anorexia. Could it be? Then I thought about how this woman's husband was a real big shot. I decided I will eventually complete my mission and return to my own world. But before that, I looked at Xian and decided to at least leave some connections for Xian so that he wouldn't have such a hard time alone. So I opened the private message and sent a message to that person. I asked the person, excuse me, how can I help your wife? The next day, I arrived at that big shot's villa, Yang Ye's place. He happily told his wife, Huiyao, wife, I invited that food blogger you watch over. I introduced myself, just call me Shan Sui. Huiyao said, I'm so sorry for inviting you over so abruptly. I said, it's all right. We happen to be in the same city. Huiyao asked me to sit down. Please sit. Let me pour you a cup of tea. I thanked him. Just then, I noticed many red needle marks on Huiyao's thin hand. I looked up at Huiyao. How long have you had anorexia? Huiyao's face was already sallow and emaciated for over 3 years. My husband has found many folk remedies for me, but none of them work. I still can't eat anything, so I've been relying on nutritional 4 drips to get by. Huiyao seemed to have found hope that, to my niece's recommendation, I watched your videos. Unexpectedly, I suddenly had the desire to eat. So I asked Huiyao, Mrs. Yang, is there any food you particularly want to eat? Huiyao stood there and thought seriously for a while. Finally, she decided lotus seed porridge, I guess. After a while, a bowl of lotus seed porridge, perfect in color, aroma, and taste, was made by me and served on the dining table. Huiyao sat to one side and said, smells so good. I told Huiyao to hurry up and try it. Huiyao first took a small spoonful with a lotus seed, then put it in her mouth. Suddenly, Huiyao covered her mouth and started coughing. Yang Yi at the side instantly became nervous. He quickly supported Huiyao that if you can't eat it, don't force yourself. Huiyao turned back and gently patted her husband's hand. I'm fine, I just choked a little. Then she took another large spoonful, opened her mouth, and ate it in a big bite. While eating, Huiyao praised, it's really delicious. Yang Yi at the side was startled by his wife's actions. I watched the two of them with a gratified look on my face. Seeing his wife eat something, Yang Yi happily walked up to me. Thank you, Shan Sui. My wife hasn't eaten in a long time. How did you cook this porridge? Can you teach me? I want to cook it for my wife myself. I immediately took out a piece of paper. I've already written the recipe down here. Just follow this. Yang Yi excitedly grabbed my hand. Really, thank you so much. Let's have a simple meal together later. I politely declined him. Next time, my younger brother is still waiting for me at home, but Yang Yi seemed a bit hesitant. I was puzzled at MR. Yang, is there something else? Yang Yi began, my wife seems to really like the things you make. Could I trouble you for this period of time to make 3 meals a day for her? I will arrange for a private car to pick you up and drop you off. I immediately agreed. I thought it would be a good opportunity to bring Xian along to make some connections. Yang Yi behind me was ecstatic. Okay. Then Yang Yi handed me his business card that I owe you a favor. If you encounter any problems with your live streaming career in the future, or if you want to switch circles and act, I can help. I took his business card and said he was being too polite. I bid farewell to the two of them. I'll be heading back for today. Mr. and Mrs. Yang walked me to the door. I looked at the content on the business card. Yang Yi, chairman of Shemi Media Company, Limited. I smiled happily. Got a connection for Xian. That night, at my and Xian's home, the room door opened with a click from the outside. Xian, who was playing the piano, heard the door open and turned to look at the entrance. Seeing that I was back, he flew over and hugged me tightly. I asked with concern, Xian, you must be hungry, right? What do you want to eat? Jie will make it for you. But Xian said he wasn't hungry. Then he cheerfully told me, the twinkle, twinkle little star you taught me, I can play it all now. Then Xian handed me an invitation. The assistant director from the previous shoot sent this over. He said we must go. Looking at the invitation for the Fei Huang rap party in my hand, I was full of doubt. How did the assistant director know where I live? After changing into slippers, Xian and I walked into the house. As we walked, Xian told me that the production crew had started promoting the show and used my photo. He asked me not to mind. At this moment, Xian was getting angry as he spoke, feeling very unhappy inside. That aren't they just trying to ride on Jie's popularity now that her live streams are popular? He took out his phone and opened Weibo. Sure enough, the production crew had already posted official stills on their official Weibo. Taking a closer look, it was indeed a photo of me in a green robe, holding a sword. But it was strange, I was just a stunt double. While they post my photo, Xian tugged on my clothes, asking to daze me, Jie, what's wrong? It's nothing. About that rap party. I reached out and gently stroked Xian's head, telling him, it's a small matter, don't worry. We'll decide when the time comes. Just then, a ding-dong sound of the doorbell rang. At this moment, I was busy in the kitchen and couldn't get away. I called for Xian to open the door. I placed the prepared dishes on the dining table, thinking to myself, it should be someone from the Yang family coming to pick up today's meal. A voice, Miss Liu, brought me back from my thoughts. I turned my head and saw Mr. and Mrs. Yang. I then asked, why did you two come in person? Mrs. Yang first replied politely, sorry to disturb you. Then she enthusiastically came forward and held my hands, telling me happily that she had just seen online that I had a role in Fei Huang. It was such a coincidence. Her husband's company had invested in that drama. I must attend a rap party tomorrow night. She would introduce me to more people in the industry then. I verbally agreed. Okay. I thought in that case, it's a good chance for Xian to meet some people. It will be good for his future. Just then, Xian brought over 2 cups of tea, politely calling out, Mr. Yang, Mrs. Yang. Uncle, Auntie, please have some water. Mrs. Yang turned to look at Xian, asking delightedly, this must be your younger brother, right? He's so well behaved. I hope you bring Xian along to the rap party. I agreed without thinking. Xian looked up at me. Jie usually dislikes crowded places. She must have agreed to attend a rap party because she wants to take me out to have fun. Jie is always thinking of me. At the rap party. That evening, Xian and I arrived at the hotel entrance by car. After getting out of the car, Xian, who was wearing a white shirt and a pair of overalls, had his hands hanging by his sides, clenched tightly, revealing his nervousness. Seeing Xian's nervous look, I teased, so even Xian gets nervous. Xian, you look so handsome today. Let's go in. Xian looked up at me and praised. Jie is the one who's truly beautiful. Then he confidently patted his chest that I need to be confident too, so I could be a good match standing next to Jie. I held Xian's hand and entered the banquet hall, instantly attracting many people's gazes. The 2 people beside them praised Xian. That child is so cute. Lu Yunxi, who was showing off everywhere in the banquet hall, was very surprised to see me and Xian. Xie Cheng expressed, did you two go to the wrong place? Lu Yunxi snuggled up next to Xie Cheng and mocked, Jie, you came too? So the production crew also invited the stunt double. The 2 of them cursed inwardly. Who does she think she is? Acting like she's the female lead. Mr. Yang heard the mockery from Lu Yunxi and Xie Cheng towards me just now. He walked over with a cold expression on his face. He said to them, Miss Lu is my guest. Lu Yunxi and Xie Cheng nervously greeted Mr. Yang, but Mr. Yang ignored them. Instead, he pulled me along to introduce his friends to me on the other side. Xie Cheng broke out in a cold sweat from Mr. Yang's words just now. Strange, when did she get to know Mr. Yang? Lu Yunxi, on the other hand, secretly made up her mind. Detestable Lu Miao, I'll definitely make you embarrass yourself in public tonight. The banquet hall today was bustling with people, exceptionally lively. Mr. Yang was introducing his friends to me. Xian turned his head and saw the cheesecake that Jie likes on the table. So he told me, Jie, wait a moment. I reminded Xian, be good. Come back quickly. The gentleman next to me praised, you and your brother have such a good relationship. I also agreed. Xian is really well behaved. Suddenly, a piercing bang sound was heard. I quickly turned my head to look. I saw Xian holding a cake in both hands, and on the floor behind him was a plate that had just been shattered. Lu Yunxi, standing beside him, blamed Xian. Why are you so careless? Xian argued back forcefully. You were clearly the one who bumped into me. Xie Cheng, who was standing to the side, suddenly grabbed Xian's collar with one hand. With his other hand balled into a fist, he was about to hit Xian, all while scolding, you little brat. Just then, I walked over to his side and grabbed Xie Cheng's arm. I looked at Xie Cheng with displeasure. Mr. Xie, raising your hand to a child. Have you no shame? Xie Cheng pulled his hand back. Lu Miao, your brother bumped into Lu Yunxi, causing her to get scalded by hot water. After bumping into someone, he's still standing here lying. How on earth do you raise your child? Lu Yunxi also chimed in, making trouble. Sister, he really did bump into me. At that moment, Mr. Yang walked over. Are you all right, Miss Lu? I reassured him. I can handle this. I pulled Xian close. Xian, tell me. Sister, I really didn't bump into her. Xie Cheng was still cursing. You damn brat. Still talking back. I looked at Xie Cheng with displeasure. You think whatever you say is the truth? Let's check the surveillance footage and see who's really lying. But a staff member nearby said, I'm sorry, the camera in this area is broken. Xie Cheng sneered, Lu Miao, let's see what you can do now. Just then, a voice was heard. It's not like this is the only place in the banquet hall with surveillance. Hearing the voice, everyone turned around and saw that Lu Yuchen had arrived. Lu Yuchen ordered a security guard nearby. Security. Play the footage. The surveillance footage showed Lu Yunxi seeing Xian walk past her carrying a cake. And when Xian was a considerable distance away from her, Lu Yunxi deliberately threw the cup in her hand to the ground and let out a cry of Aya. Seeing this, I abruptly stopped the playback. All right, Lu Yunxi. Now, do you have anything to explain? Lu Yunxi lowered her head, still trying to think of a way to argue. But I directly told her to apologize. Lu Yunxi thought to herself, isn't the surveillance camera broken? How could there be other cameras? Where are they? Xie Cheng, at her side, nervously put his arm around Lu Yunxi. But Lu Yuchen laughed. Lu Yunxi, we didn't really think a place this big would only have one camera, did you? Xie Cheng, however, angrily rebuked Lu Yuchen. What's wrong with you? Lu Yunxi is your sister. Lu Yuchen angrily retorted at Xie Cheng. Miao is my sister too. Mr. Yang, standing next to me, whispered, so President Lu is your older brother. At this point, Lu Yunxi began to insincerely apologize to me. I'm sorry, sister. We were too close at the time, so I thought he bumped into me. I scolded Lu Yunxi. You got it wrong. Lu Yunxi, you need to apologize to Xian, not me. Although Xian is young, he's not someone you can just slander as you please. Lu Yunxi, however, secretly gritted her teeth. Lu Yunxi looked at Xian with difficulty and uttered, I'm sorry. Xian looked at Lu Yunxi magnanimously. Miss Lu, I accept your apology. My sister once told me that one should be decent. I hope you understand this principle too. After speaking, Xian looked at me. Sister, I remember you love cheesecake the most. Let's take it home to eat. So I bid farewell to Mr. Yang.Mr. Yang, I'll take my brother home now. Mr. Yang expressed his apologies. My apologies for the poor hospitality. I'll contact you another day, Miss Lu. Just as we were about to leave, Lu Yuchen called out to me. Miao, I'll have the driver take you home. I directly refused him. No need. Then I turned back, smiled at him, and said, thank you for today. Lu Yuchen instantly became infatuated. Miao isn't mad at me anymore. She even said thank you to me. Lu Yuchen watched me with a blissful expression as I left with Xian. That evening, at my and Xian's home, Xian was squatting by the living room sofa, looking at his phone. He saw comments on his phone saying things like, Lu Yunxi is a green tea bitch. Shan Sui is really a girl with character. I want a younger brother like that. Xian wondered who had posted this incident online. How annoying. Sister is clearly mine. Why are these people so tirelessly confessing their love to my sister? Thinking about what happened today, Xian buried his head in his knees. But seems I caused trouble for sister again today. Just then, I came out after a shower and saw Xian. Hey, Xian, you haven't gone to bed yet? Why does my little one look so upset? Seeing me come out, Xian turned to look at me. Sister. Xian apologized to me. I'm sorry. I feel like I caused trouble for you again today. I sat down beside Xian and comforted him. It's a small thing. It wasn't your fault. Xian suddenly clenched his fists. He looked at me with an expectant expression. Sister is mine. Right? I was baffled by Xian's question and looked at him in confusion. Xian asked again, Sister is mine, right? You'll never leave me, right? Hearing these questions, I looked at Xian in silence. Xian was still looking at me expectantly. Sister, hurry up and say yes. Say it. Sister is so wonderful. There will definitely be many people who covet you. Suddenly, Xian gritted his teeth. Sister can only be mine. No one can take sister away from me. Just as Xian was still lost in thought, I reached out and caressed his face, then closed my eyes and leaned in to kiss Xian. Lu Miao hugged Xian and reached out to stroke his head. Xian knew very well in his heart that although his sister hadn't said anything, she knew everything. Xian was as happy as a little wolf pup, his arms wrapped around his sister's neck. Just then, Lu Miao's phone showed an incoming call. She then picked up the phone, looked at it, and turned. She turned and pinched Xian's little cheek, reminding him with a smile. All right, Xian, it's time for bed. You need to sleep early to grow tall. Xian looked at his sister with a longing gaze, pleading 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Sister, your private messages are blowing up. I'll help you clear them out, and then I'll sleep. Seeing this, she agreed and handed the phone to Xian. But Xian was thinking wickedly in his heart. I'll delete all the private messages. Can't let that greasy stuff dirty my sister's eyes. Suddenly, while holding the phone, Xian saw a private message inside. He asked in surprise, Hey sister, is Shang trying to sign a contract with you? He then handed the phone to Lu Miao to see. A look confirmed it was their official account, not a scammer. Lu Miao was also very surprised to see this message. Lu Miao took the phone and looked at it carefully for a moment. Xian, beside her, pointed at the phone screen and said, Sister, I heard that Shang's conditions for selecting contract partners are very strict. But Lu Miao shook her head, sighed, and said slowly, forget it. I don't like being bound by rules and regulations. Hearing this, Xian was overjoyed, saying excitedly, that's right. Anyway, sister is so popular, it doesn't matter whether you sign or not. Meanwhile, the private message with Lu Miao's reply was received on the other end. Looking at the content, sorry, not interested. The man sitting at the desk was truly furious after seeing this message. This Shan Sui actually said she's not interested in signing. He then called in the secretary from outside and ordered her that she must sign Shan Sui. The female secretary was very conflicted. She wanted to try to persuade President Hua, but she couldn't bring herself to speak. President Hua then, with a grim face, looked at the female secretary who was hesitating to agree and said icily, no matter what, I want Shan Sui to agree to sign. At this time, Lu Miao was live streaming from home. The content of the stream was showing everyone how to make a simple egg pudding. Lu Miao had just ended the live stream on her phone when Xian walked towards her. Xian stroked his chin, looking at the phone screen in front of him, thinking like an adult. He felt something wasn't right. He pointed at the phone and asked his sister beside him in surprise. The data from the last 2 days is a bit strange. Seeing this, Lu Miao reached out and ruffled his hair. She asked in confusion, what's wrong? Lu Miao's eyes widened as she looked at the data on the phone. He suddenly remembered something. Because Fei Huang started airing, the production team posted the clip of Sister doing the stunt on the official broadcast. The little boy picked up the phone, carefully counting the numbers on it, and said in amazement, so, Sister's livestream followers have also increased a lot recently. It's broken 1 million. Xian looked at the fan trend analysis chart on the phone. Donations have been constantly rising, but the viewership data for the live streams in the last 2 days has been dropping. This doesn't make sense. He picked up the phone to show Lu Miao, then said to her, I just tried searching for your name on the main page, but I couldn't find you. Xian looked at his sister nervously, very worried for her. Could it be because you didn't agree to sign the contract, so they're playing tricks? Lu Miao smiled and bent down, reaching out to gently tap Xian's nose, praising him. not bad. Xian is getting more and more observant. You have the potential to be a little detective. He asked in confusion, aren't you worried, sister? Lu Miao explained, Xian, look, although the number of online viewers has declined during the live streams, the gifts and donations have both increased. Xian picked up the phone and took another look. Seeing the data he had overlooked, he said in surprise, that's right. Could it be that I was overthinking it? Lu Miao smiled and told him, it's okay. If someone is really trying to suppress me, they definitely won't be happy seeing this data. They'll make another move. Xian's gaze was very firm as he slowly said, then we'll know if it's the platform playing tricks. After the two of them finished discussing the live stream data, Lu Miao directly took the phone from Xian's hands. Lu Miao's eyes were shining. Looking at the boy she had taken in, she said very happily, the new year is almost here. This is the first new year we'll be spending together. She reached out and caressed Xian's face, asking very gently, does Xian have any suggestions? But she didn't expect him to say, as long as I'm with sister, anything is fine. On New Year's Eve, dazzling fireworks lit up the city sky. Every household was brightly lit, eating reunion dinners and watching the Spring Festival Gala indoors. At this moment, Lu Miao and Xian were sitting in the living room, eating New Year's Eve dinner. The table was laden with delicious dishes. The two of them raised their glasses at the same time and shouted, Happy New Year! The glasses, filled with sincerity, clinked together. Then they both took a sip. Xian rested his head on his hand, swirling the glass with his other hand, watching Lu Miao peel shrimp. He thought to himself, I don't know since when, but whenever I eat shrimp, it's always sister who peels the shells for me. He took a sip of his drink, thinking about Lu Miao's care for him. Sister is different with me than with other people. Towards others, she is cold and distant. But in front of me, she is gentle and tender and will tolerate all my little tantrums. Lu Miao passed over the peeled shrimp. Seeing Xian not reacting, she said, What are you thinking about? Hurry up and eat. Doesn't Xian like shrimp the most? This voice pulled him back from his thoughts. She picked up the shrimp with chopsticks and fed it to Xian. She smiled very gently. Xian thought to himself, a sister like this, how could I possibly bear to let her go? After feeding the shrimp to Xian, Lu Miao looked at him, smiled, and said, After the new year, Xian should go to school. Seeing his expression, she reached out and patted Xian's shoulder. Xian listened very seriously as his sister spoke, that I've already contacted a school. It's to join as a transfer student. Is that okay? When Xian heard he had to go to school after the new year, he was surprised for a moment, then became melancholic. His face looked a little sad. I have to go to school? Then I won't be able to see sister during the day. I'll only be able to see her after school is over. That's really too sad. Suddenly, Lu Miao reached out and poked Xian's forehead. He, however, was in a daze. Lu Miao was very puzzled. Looking at the unresponsive Xian, she slowly called out again, Xian. Xian came back to his senses and nuzzled against Lu Miao, asking her, when I go to school, will sister come pick me up when school is out? Although I can come back by myself, I just want sister to come get me. Seeing this, Lu Miao stroked his hair and very happily agreed to Xian's request. At this moment, fireworks were still crackling outside. Xian pulled Lu Miao to the window. Looking at the brilliant fireworks outside, Lu Miao looked down at Xian, saying happily, This is the first time sister and I have watched fireworks together. The two of them just stood there, watching the fireworks outside. Xian thought to himself, Sister, it would be so great if you could always be with me like this. Time flew by. Xian's first day of school arrived. They came to the school together. Xian was sitting in the classroom, seriously taking a test. A proctor was sitting at the teacher's desk. Lu Miao waited outside the classroom, her arms crossed, a little worried about Xian. She thought with great conviction in her heart. The interview and test, Xian should have no problem. At this point, Xian in the classroom had already finished the test paper. He walked up to the teacher's desk and handed in his paper. He walked out of the classroom, his hands behind his back, and called out sister in a low voice as he walked towards Lu Miao. Seeing this, Lu Miao thought to herself, he seems a bit down. Did he not pass? Lu Miao bent down, smiling to console Xian. It's okay. It doesn't matter if you didn't pass. We could just find another school. At this, Xian was a little confused. He suddenly raised his head, looked at his sister affectionately, and said with some grievance, Am I that stupid in sister's heart? Lu Miao was stunned and didn't know what to say. Xian hugged Lu Miao's arm, acting cute as he slowly said, Sister, I passed. I can start classes next week. Hearing this, Lu Miao felt like she had been tricked. She reached out and pinched Qi Xian's ear, questioning him with a bit of anger. "You've learned to tease your sister now, have you?" After Lu Miao let go, Qi Xian rubbed his ear and explained helplessly, "I didn't do it on purpose. I just want to liven up the atmosphere." After Qi Xian finished speaking, Lu Miao then reached out and stroked his head. "Let's go. Sister has a reward for you." Seeing this, Qi Xian smiled at her. Sister isn't angry anymore. After shopping, Lu Miao and Qi Xian returned home. Just as they were about to open the door, Qi Xian's eyes were shining, his face filled with a radiant smile as he looked at Lu Miao beside him. "Sister, you really didn't have to buy so much." They were chatting. Sister has money. Everything Xian uses must be the best. At this moment, behind them, a mother and daughter were also opening their door. Suddenly, Lu Miao heard the little girl's voice. She turned her head and saw her looking at her mother. "Mom, are we going to live here from now on? Just because I have to go to that school." After getting a clear look at the little girl, Lu Miao was a bit shocked. She had a bad feeling in her heart. She thought, this is Lan Qinya. In the novel, she is infatuated with Xian, not allowing any female to get close to him. She did all sorts of bad things. Just then, Lan Qinya's mother noticed Lu Miao's gaze. Lu Miao was still staring at Lan Qinya. She was thinking to herself, how could I run into her here? At this moment, her mother shouted with a grim face, "What are you looking at? No manners." Seeing this, Lan Qinya also turned her head to look. She saw Qi Xian across from them. At this moment, Qi Xian's expression was very unpleasant, but in Lan Qinya's heart, he was still a very handsome boy. Lu Miao saw the grim-faced Qi Xian beside her, wanting to immediately go over and argue with them. She quickly reached out to soothe him. "Forget it." Xian's face also darkened. She thought to herself, it's better not to let Xian have any contact with her. Suddenly, the ringing of her phone pulled Lu Miao back from her thoughts. She picked up the phone to answer. "Miss Lu, do you have time right now? Something's happened to Yao Yao." Hearing this, Lu Miao's face darkened. She then agreed to Mr. Yang's request and hung up the phone. She opened the door and went inside. After walking in, Lu Miao turned to look at Qi Xian, who was coming in behind her, waved her hand, and instructed, "I'm going to Mr. Yang's place for a bit. You be good and wait for me at home." Qi Xian nodded and agreed. Then, Lu Miao went out and closed the door. He turned his head to look at the closed door, his face grim, thinking to himself, can't he solve his own problems? Why does he have to trouble sister? As he walked to the living room and placed the things in his arms on the table, there was a sudden knock on the door. Qi Xian whipped his head around to look at the door, thinking, could sister be back? He hurried to the door and with a click, opened it. Qi Xian was full of anticipation, thinking it must be his sister outside. But unexpectedly, when he opened the door, it was Lan Qinya. She was holding an apple and said happily, "Hello, we just moved in. From today on, we're neighbors. There was a misunderstanding earlier. I'm here to apologize on behalf of my mom." Qi Xian looked at the little girl outside, who was apologizing to him so seriously. Qi Xian thought, what is this nonsense? Lan Qinya held the apple with both hands and asked Qi Xian excitedly, "Aren't you going to invite me in for a bit?" Qi Xian was a bit shocked to hear this. She looked at Qi Xian in front of her, her eyes shining, unable to see anything else. Her entire line of sight was occupied by Qi Xian. How can there be such a handsome boy? Lu Miao arrived at Mr. Yang's house. She stood in the kitchen with Mr. Yang, her arms crossed, as they discussed something. At this time, the white-haired woman behind her kept turning back to look at her. She came to the stove, turned on the gas, and looked at the porridge in the pot. Her expression instantly darkened. Lu Miao picked up the spatula and stirred the pot. At this moment, she sensed something was wrong. Mr. Yang watched what Lu Miao was doing, somewhat puzzled. He slowly asked, "Miss Lu, is there something wrong with this food?" She turned off the stove, slowly turned around, and asked Mr. Yang, "Did you leave at any point during the cooking process?" The man lowered his head, thinking about the question Lu Miao had asked. But he didn't speak for a while. He suddenly remembered that while he was cooking the porridge, he got a business call and needed to find a contract. I asked Nanny Lee to take over. After thinking through the process, his face instantly darkened. Mr. Yang, with a grim expression, said to Lu Miao in disbelief, "Miss Lu, are you saying that Nanny Lee put something in the porridge?" Lu Miao confirmed with a yes. Lu Miao then remembered from the novel that although the couple, Yang Yi and his wife, were deeply in love, Hui Yao still died of anorexia. Unable to accept the blow, Yang Yi jumped to his death. It wasn't until I witnessed it with my own eyes that I realized such a harmonious and loving couple truly exists in the world. Moreover, they never had any intention of harming others. Yang Yi looked at the dazed Lu Miao. Seeing this, he waved his hand and called out a few times, "Miss Lu." Only then did Lu Miao come back to her senses. Yang Yi saw this and quickly asked her, "Miss Lu, are you all right?" Then, with a grim face, she spoke to Mr. Yang that if you want Miss Hua to live a long and peaceful life, pay more attention to the Hua family. Yang Yi's hands dropped to his sides, his fists clenched tightly. But upon hearing this news, his whole body trembled. He slowly said, "Okay." Lu Miao walked past Yang Yi for a short distance, waved her hand, and instructed, "For the next 2 days, just give Ms. Hua some nutritional fluids. Don't be in a hurry to feed her solid food." She walked to the kitchen door, then turned around again to remind him. After that, cook her some light yam congee. Be careful not to give her anything that's hard to digest. Yang Yi lowered his head, his expression awful, unable to lift his spirits. He gave a slight nod and said, "Okay." The two of them walked down the stairs. Yang Yi said, "Oh right, Miss Lu. I just found out you're the daughter of the Lu family. I've seen you in Fei Huang. Both your skills and your acting are excellent. It's a shame for you to just be a stunt double. I have a few projects here. If you're interested, I can introduce you." Lu Miao demurred. "We'll see. I'm heading back first. Let's talk later." But she was thinking to herself, as long as I can raise Qi Xian, that's enough. I'm not really interested in these things. He stroked his chin. "Miss Lu seems very busy today. Forget it. I won't bother her for now. Such a wonderful daughter, and the Lu family actually kicked her out. They truly have no judgment." After Lu Miao walked out, the system's warning suddenly sounded. Codename 001. Violation of Mission and Management Regulation Article 185, revealing spoilers to a person receiving aid. In 3 minutes, you will receive half an hour of bone-eating pain. Lu Miao leaned against a tree. Every one of us mission executors has a chip implanted by the Mission Bureau for monitoring purposes. Once we violate the management regulations, we receive a corresponding punishment. I just reminded Yang Yi to be wary of the Hua family, but that violated one of the rules. My parents were married by family decree, a loveless union, so I just don't want to see a truly loving couple be torn apart by death. At this moment, the system prompted, "Bone-eating pain ready." Punishment commencing. Lu Miao's body endured in human pain. Her face became extremely pale. She clutched her chest and collapsed to the ground, her phone flying out of her hand. She thought, "It's been a long time since I've been punished like this." She endured the physical pain, biting down hard on the back of her hand. Sure enough, it's still this feeling like being sliced by 1,000 cuts. She remembered the last time she experienced the bone-eating pain. The last time she was punished, it seemed she was still in the training camp. Back then, she had fainted from the pain. Lu Miao was drenched in sweat from the pain, but her thoughts turned to Qi Xian. "I can't faint again this time. Xian Xian is still waiting for me." At this time, the system prompted that the countdown had begun. The bone-eating pain was about to end. Lu Miao didn't dare to relax in the slightest. She could only grit her teeth and persevere. Just thinking of Qi Xian at home gave her the strength to hold on. Lu Miao's hands were pressed against the ground, her whole body trembling, as she forced herself to endure this punishment. After the punishment ended, she straightened up, leaned against the large tree behind her, and let out a breath. At this moment, her tense nerves relaxed. Suddenly, her phone, which had fallen on the ground, started to ring. But Lu Miao was simply too weak to pick it up. Just then, the sound of footsteps approached and stopped in front of Lu Miao. A voice asked her, "Are you Shan Sui?" Lu Miao slowly raised her head and looked at the man in front of her, but she couldn't place his face. "Who is he? I don't know him." She wiped the corner of her mouth with her hand, staring warily at the person in front of her, appearing at this exact moment. It's a bit suspicious. Seeing this, the man quickly waved his hands and explained, "Don't be nervous. My name is Hua Qingyi. I also work at Shishang, so I recognize you. I was on my way to see my sister and was just passing by. I've seen your live streams." At this moment, Lu Miao's phone was still ringing. The man asked in confusion, "Aren't you going to answer your phone? Are you okay?" The man in front of her squatted down, looking down at Lu Miao. Lu Miao also stared at him for a moment. The man suddenly spoke, "Do you need my help?" At this, Lu Miao reached out to pick up the phone on the ground and said to the man beside her, "No help needed." Lu Miao picked up the phone, and just as she put the receiver to her ear, she heard Qi Xian on the other end shouting, "Sister," but her hand was still trembling uncontrollably from the bone-eating pain. So she couldn't get a firm grip on the phone, and it slipped from her palm and fell to the ground. Seeing this, Hua Qingyi kindly offered, "Let me help you." He then squatted down and picked up the phone from the ground. Qi Xian on the other end heard someone else and quickly asked anxiously, "Sister, where are you? Why aren't you answering my calls?" Hua Qingyi quickly held the phone to her ear. Lu Miao softly reassured Qi Xian the phone was on silent just now. Sister didn't hear it. Then, she supported herself against the nearby wall and managed to stand up, telling Qi Xian she would be back right away. Lu Miao thought, I've been out for so long, my little one is worried. So, holding the phone, she tried to hurry home. But because of the recent pain, her body was too weak, and she stumbled. Seeing this, Hua Qingyi reminded her, be careful, and reached out to support her. Lu Miao quickly dodged away, keeping her distance from him. She declined his kind offer and explained to him that she doesn't like physical contact with others. Hua Qingyi didn't take it to heart. He smiled and kindly reminded her, you can't get a taxi here. Let me give you a ride home. Lu Miao thought, this place is indeed a bit remote. If I don't get back soon, my little one will be anxious. She had no choice but to express her thanks to Hua Qingyi that I'm really troubling you. Upon arriving downstairs at her apartment complex, Hua Qingyi gentlemanly helped her open the car door. Lu Miao thanked him again. Just as she was about to leave, a sudden wind picked up on the street, making her shiver from the cold. She couldn't help but rub her arms. Seeing this, Hua Qingyi thoughtfully took off his own jacket and draped it over her shoulders. He adjusted her collar. Then he suddenly spoke. You don't look well today. I won't bother you. You can come to the company to chat when you have time. Hearing this, Lu Miao was stunned for a moment. Then she said goodbye to him and quickly walked into the residential complex. Meanwhile, Qi Xian, who was upstairs, saw this scene. He thought to himself, where did that dog of a man come from? After Lu Miao went upstairs and entered the apartment, Qi Xian pulled her by the hand and sat her down on a chair. He kept calling out Jie clingily. Lu Miao smiled as she looked at him, lowering her head to gently stroke his cheek. Qi Xian frowned, a little unhappy. Jie, why didn't you answer your phone? I was so scared something had happened to you. Qi Xian looked at Lu Miao's face. Although she was smiling at him, Qi Xian could still see that she was forcing it, looking exhausted and unwell. Did something happen? He couldn't help but feel a pang of heartache. He furrowed his brow. Right now, he should be a well-behaved, sensible, and understanding little brother. He'd put everything else aside for now, but he still didn't forget. He took off Lu Miao's jacket, smiled obediently at her, and said, Jie, go get some rest first. Seeing him being so well-behaved, Lu Miao felt a little relieved and patted his head. She thought, Xian has become so sensible, so obedient. Qi Xian watched her walk into the room, his gaze concerned as he looked at her back. He couldn't help but think she was fine before. Why is she suddenly like this? Suddenly, a look of surprise appeared on his face. His mouth fell slightly open as if he had thought of something. Could it be that time of the month when girls don't feel well? He wanted to do something for his sister, too, so he especially wanted to make a cup of brown sugar water. Then he knocked on the door. When no one answered, he walked into the room. He was about to speak, but froze on the spot. The words left unspoken. At this moment, Lu Miao had actually fallen asleep, leaning against the sofa. Her eyes were tightly shut, and she was sleeping soundly. Seeing this, Qi Xian quietly walked over. He placed the cup in his hand on the table, then gently moved Lu Miao onto the bed and covered her with a blanket. Unexpectedly, despite all of Qi Xian's small movements, Lu Miao didn't wake up. She remained fast asleep with her eyes tightly closed. It seemed she was truly exhausted. Qi Xian looked at her condition with some worry. Standing by Lu Miao's bed, he gently lifted her hand and softly called out, Jie. He carefully examined Lu Miao's palm. It was clear at a glance that there were scrapes, and more than one. She was perfectly fine before she left. Now she had come back like this. So he rummaged through the house for the first aid kit. After opening it, he took out iodine and cotton swabs. After dipping a swab in iodine, he began to disinfect Lu Miao's palm. He gently dabbed it on Lu Miao's wound. But even though she was clearly asleep, her hand couldn't stop trembling. She probably felt the pain. Qi Xian frowned nervously. What should I do now? My movements must have been too rough. I'm gonna wake Jie up. He couldn't stop blaming himself and feeling heartbroken. Like a puppy, his ears drooped and he looked unhappy. Qi Xian carefully observed his sister's sleeping face. But thankfully, she only furrowed her brow and let out a pained whimper without waking up. He broke out in a cold sweat from the scare. He couldn't help but think, thank goodness I didn't wake Jie up. Then he picked up another cotton swab and gently dabbed it on his sister's wound, wiping his sweat while blowing on the injury. I absolutely can't hurt Jie again this time. After treating Lu Miao's wound, he looked at her terrible condition, frowning as he he couldn't help but think. She must have run into some trouble today. Chi Xian looked at her sleeping face. In your heart, I'm still just a child. I can't help with anything. This feeling of powerlessness is really awful. So he could only let his eyebrows droop sadly. Even if I asked, she wouldn't tell me. Then he sat down on the edge of Lu Miao's bed. He reached out, took her hand, and made a promise to her. His expression was solemn and serious, speaking like a little adult. I've grown up. I will prove to you that I have the ability to take good care of you. Then he reached out his finger and gently traced Lu Miao's brows and eyes, as if he could never get enough of looking at her. Chi Xian was a little shy, but his expression was very serious as he spoke softly. In this world, I am the person closest to you and the one you can trust the most. A few days passed quickly. The two of them arrived at school together. Lu Miao held his hand, looking down to gently remind him, today is your first day of school. If you run into any problems, just find a teacher. You must study hard, okay? She said, smiling as she patted his head. Chi Xian looked up at her for a moment. He suddenly hugged Lu Miao's arm, acting clingy and spoiled. Don't worry, I definitely won't embarrass you, Jie. You have to be the first one to pick me up after school. Lu Miao looked at his endearing appearance, lowered her head, and smilingly agreed, no problem. Hurry to your classroom. Chi Xian obediently turned and walked through the school gate. He waved at Lu Miao behind him, saying goodbye. See you this afternoon. Be careful on your way back. Chi Xian walked into the campus alone. Just as he entered the academic building and was about to look for his classroom, he heard footsteps behind him. Suddenly, the person walked up quickly, patted his shoulder, and happily asked, Chi Xian, you go to school here too? Chi Xian turned his head in confusion. It was a little girl with a ponytail, smiling at him. Chi Xian ignored her question, looking at her with a blank expression. The little girl just kept asking on her own, what's your name? What grade and class are you in? It was incredibly dull. Chi Xian finally dropped his facade, his patience wearing thin. He frowned deeply. He couldn't help but think, how is it her again? She's so annoying. So he turned and walked away without giving her any face, completely ignoring what the little girl was saying. He didn't care. Seeing him act like this, the little girl didn't get angry. She thought he was just being aloof and cool. In fact, she read too much into it, chasing after him, asking, what is your name anyway? My name is Lan Qinya. Lan Qinya happily walked by his side, chirping her introduction. Lan as in Lantian for blue sky, Qin as in Qintian for a clear day, and Yi as in Yeshur for's. After finishing, she smiled sweetly at him again and asked, doesn't it sound nice? Lan Qinya thought she would receive a compliment, but she didn't. All she got was a single, ice-cold word, scram. Hearing him say that, Lan Qinya was instantly displeased. She pouted and froze on the spot. Chi Xian then pulled open the classroom door and walked in, not caring what the girl was thinking. He just frowned and said, you're very annoying. Can you be quiet? Seeing him walk into the classroom, Lan Qinya excitedly shouted to the students in the class, classmates, we have a new transfer student, as if she truly held no grudge. But Lan Qinya was just thinking to herself, the colder he is now, the greater the sense of accomplishment I'll have when I conquer him. Unexpectedly, she saw Chi Xian as a fun toy to play with. Seeing this, the female students in the class all raised their heads to look, constantly discussing, he's way too good looking. Is he better looking? Or is Lu Yinchi better looking? Hearing the student conversation, Chi Xian looked up and also noticed the person sitting in the classroom. He saw the person frowning slightly, staring at him with an unfriendly gaze. He didn't look friendly at all. This person must be the school hunk, Lu Yinchi. This is really troublesome. The homeroom teacher was now standing at the podium, pointing at Chi Xian and introducing him to everyone. This is our class's new transfer student, Chi Xian. From now on, everyone should get along well. After speaking, she pointed to his seat in the second-to-last row and told Chi Xian his seat was there. Lan Qinya watched his retreating figure, thinking, I finally know his name. The people in the class looked at his handsome face. He seems a bit more handsome than Lu Yinchi. After finding his seat and putting his things down, Chi Xian propped his chin on one hand and looked out the window. These people are so boring. I wonder what Jie is doing. Has she gone home yet? Meanwhile, Lu Miao looked up at the sky. The sun was a bit dazzling. It's already noon. I'll have to pick up Xian from school soon. And at that moment in school, Chi Xian was resting his chin on his hand, absent-minded. He frowned slightly, feeling a bit bored. Lu Miao had already taught him everything being covered in class. He looked up at the clock in the classroom again. School was about to end. At this thought, his face finally lit up with happiness because he would be able to see his sister soon. Soon, the school bell rang and the teacher dismissed the class. Qi Xian quickly slung his backpack on, packed his things, and prepared to leave the classroom. He thought, I can't let Jijia wait too long. I'm coming right away. He was walking down the hallway when Lan Qinya suddenly appeared behind him, calling his name with a smile. Qi Xian turned to look. She wanted to walk home with him. Qi Xian was utterly annoyed with her. He whipped his head away and sighed, completely ignoring what she said. He couldn't help but think, so annoying. Why is it her again? Then he started running forward with big strides, trying to shake her off. So he quickly reached the school gate and saw Lu Miao not far away. She was standing by the car, waiting to pick him up. Just as Qi Xian was about to call out to her, a hand landed on his shoulder from behind and patted his back. Qi Xian had no choice but to turn his head again to look. Sure enough, it was Lan Qinya again. She had hurriedly grabbed Qi Xian's shoulder. Looking up, she asked breathlessly, why are you running so fast? Qi Xian. He hadn't expected her to be like a piece of dog-skin plaster, impossible to shake off. He was instantly annoyed. He shook off her hand to avoid her touch and couldn't help but shout, go away. But unexpectedly, because Qi Xian was in such a hurry, he didn't watch where he was going. As he stepped back, he accidentally stepped on an empty soda can. He instantly lost his balance and fell backward violently. His hips slammed hard onto the stone pavement. He couldn't help but cry out in pain as he fell to the ground. Seeing this, Lan Qinya quickly waved her hands, looking flustered and helpless. She hurriedly asked if Qi Xian was okay. I'll take you to the infirmary to get some medicine. After saying that, Lan Qinya moved closer, wanting to reach out and help him up. But unexpectedly, Qi Xian didn't appreciate her gesture at all. He pushed her arm away. None of your business. Seeing him like this, Lan Qinya clutched the hand he had pushed away, a frustrated look on her face. She looked like she was about to cry. She wanted to say something, but didn't. Just then, Lu Miao, who was not far away, noticed what was happening. She hurried over and asked, what's wrong? Hearing her voice, Qi Xian looked up happily and called out, Jie. Lu Miao quickly and sharply noticed a wound on Qi Xian's leg. His pants were also torn. Her expression turned a little ugly as she thought, how did Xian get hurt? Lu Miao's expression quickly darkened. She looked towards Lan Qinya, who was standing to the side. Lan Qinya looked scared and wanted to explain that it wasn't her. Qi Xian didn't care about the wound on his leg at all. He just wanted to go home with his sister. So he told Lu Miao it has nothing to do with her. Let's go back. Hearing him say this, Lan Qinya was ecstatic. She thought, on the surface, he's cold and indifferent to me. But when something happens, he actually explains things for me. He's truly a treasure of a boy. Qi Xian had no idea what kind of nonsense this girl was thinking. He just couldn't help but feel a little contemptuous. What brand of idiot is this? Soon, Lu Miao brought him back home. She sat on the sofa, head lowered, holding a cotton ball as she carefully disinfected Qi Xian's wound. Qi Xian couldn't help but hiss, closing one eye because the alcohol stung a little. Hearing his pain sound, Lu Miao quickly looked up, concerned. She asked with heartache, does it hurt a lot? Qi Xian started to act pitiful. Jie, if you blow on it, it won't hurt. Hearing that, Lu Miao lowered her head and gently blew on his wound. Qi Xian smiled with a triumphant look on his face. The wound was now disinfected. Lu Miao had been wanting to ask for a while, so she looked up and softly asked, Xian, do you like that person from just now? Hearing this, Qi Xian's face turned beet red. He frantically waved his hands. Of course not. I don't. Let me explain. Seeing him so eager to speak, Lu Miao wanted to tease him even more. So Qi Xian hurriedly explained, she's always pestering me. She wants to date me, but I keep ignoring her, so she just keeps chasing me. Lu Miao reached up and touched her chin, smiling. Oh, so that's how it is, she said to Qi Xian. Xian did the right thing. Children shouldn't be in a relationship so early. But when Qi Xian heard her call him a child again, he anxiously grabbed her hand to argue. I'm 13 years old. I'm not a child anymore. I won't like anyone else besides Jie. Lu Miao stroked his face. When Xian grows up, you'll know. If you work hard now, you'll be able to see better scenery in the future. Qi Xian looked up and said seriously, I want to show Jie the most beautiful scenery. Just give me a little more time. I can take care of Jie too. Lu Miao hadn't expected him to say something like that. So she looked at him gently, agreed to his request, and reached out to hug Qi Xian. Qi Xian said happily, then it's a deal. It's so good to have met you, Jie. Lu Miao also told him, I'm also very happy to have met Xian. I will be with you as you grow up.